Speaker.
Roadcaster 2. Can you guys hear us now?
Hello.
Crying that we fell off.
How does it sound now?
No,
No, we
we're
can
back,
hear.
We're back.
Look at the chat.
Yes,
W,
sir.
we
We back.
We were looking at the chat. We know that we were muted. It's working now. Let's go. Let's go. That's how you know we haven't been in the studio for a month.
Riv, again, I asked the question.
What happened?
What,
you heard me?
What do you do?
Yeah. Same thing you do.
Which is
Nothing.
All right, so we got to do the intro back all over again. How was everybody's day that's watching live? Actually, put down in the comments below. We're gonna run back the intro because you guys couldn't hear it, so let's do it. Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran, and I'm here with River Brown, Andrew Velez, and Joe Dehls. This is now episode 340. In this episode, we're going to debate whether or not OKC needs to make a trade, the Bears' looming Justin Fields decision, the Ravens' Super Bowl chances, and we'll have Zach Segars on the show to talk about Drew's Denver Broncos. This is episode 340. Feels like a milestone. Every single time we hit those even numbers, each time we hit those 10. So 340, 350, 360.
400 is crazy.
It's 400.
60 episodes away.
If we're doing 3 a week, that means what? 20 weeks.
Something
Cooks. No, good math.
I like that. This is why you're the brains, brother, man.
So that'd be June.
We got the
Something for
brains.
the finals, maybe.
We got the technical guy, the funny guy.
That's this guy doing nothing.
Yeah, just him over there.
Riv calling me the tech guy after the tech fail early in the show is a crazy call out.
That's all right.
How y'all doing though?
I'm good, man. Can't complain. How you guys doing?
Riv, your hair looks
Looks
Comments
good.
for cooking your last episode.
You
look like somebody's grandma.
Yeah, you gotta take some some days, your hair ain't gonna look right, but it's the startup to be where it's gonna be.
I feel you.
You know what I'm saying? A job got to get done regardless of what my hair looks like.
And that shirt is tough.
Thank you, appreciate it. Shout out to Dennis Rodman, man, one of the greatest rebounders ever, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest defenders for sure.
New year, same old sponsor. Shout out to Prize Picks. You can use code PAS for a 100% deposit match up to $100. I don't know if I sent you guys my entry last night.
I saw you
of
cook.
my win.
You cooked.
I got a few in today, but I can't tell you.
Why can't you tell us?
I'm gonna tell you on Friday when I win.
You know what it is,
On
and
Friday.
let me tell you,
Because it's in tonight.
and he's not the only one. I feel this
Nice
when you
Wednesday.
share your
I know,
when you
but
share your
Oh,
your quote unquote locks.
Could be bad luck.
jinx it.
Yeah, you could jinx it.
It is bad luck.
Yeah,
You know what I really should have taken yesterday though? The Jaylen Brown less on the points. That's
Tough
something
game
that
from
I
JB.
really should have taken. he tends to have off nights, but
The JB
I didn't
haters were quiet
predict it
for
last
about a
night.
month and a half, and then he has a bad game, so they got to come back out. Get your love in, get your laughs in, get your W's in.
I'll tell you what. Anytime Jaylen Brown put up a shot yesterday, I was angry.
Yeah, nah,
I
his
was
shot
like,
was
please,
off.
you got to know when. You
Lot
got to
of
know
good
when
shit.
now.
He looked like he was in playoff form.
Oh shit.
Looked like he was in playoff form last night.
Yeah.
Could be a finals preview. I mean, who
You
knows?
were definitely a Celtics.
Playoff form. You
Yeah,
know what's
it's-
hilarious about that? He's literally only had one bad playoff series
He
in
really
his
has
career.
really just the Heat
In his
Heat series.
entire
He looked like
career.
Julius Randle in that playoff series.
Yeah.
He did look really
That's
fucking
more on
bad.
you. That's more on you.
I believe in Julius Randle this playoffs.
You're lying.
Yeah,
been
no, I
cooking.
do.
Matchup
I do.
dependent.
He's been cooking.
Matchup dependent.
You got OG. You said you could beat the Celtics now.
Oh, we could lock
In
up
his
one of
two
the
playoff
twins,
series.
one of the Browns and
You're right.
Tatums. We could lock one of them up.
The Cavaliers.
One of them was hard to. Well, Cavs is
Cavs
a
tough.
tough matchup.
Cavs is tough. The Hawks.
He should have definitely played a little
He
better.
should have killed them.
Yeah.
And then the Heat. Bam out of bye.
Respectable.
Mhm.
Respectable. He is a respectable.
That's the only
lockup.
one. That's the
Cleveland's
only one.
Mobley
Cleveland,
Allen down there.
yeah.
Tough. That's tough.
But
That's a
he's
tough
still a
matchup.
big boy.
He is.
Julius,
It's the way he plays. Sometimes he relies on the jumper too much.
not
And
this
there-
season.
No, this year he's on.
This
his
year
shit.
he's
That's why-
on
but
his bully ball.
I know if he plays the Bucks, he's fucked.
Yeah.
If he plays Cleveland again, I think he'll have some trouble. Philly, I think it'll be tough.
So
Indiana, I
any
think he'll
good
cook.
teams.
With
Indiana.
interior defense.
Indiana's defense has
Indiana,
been
he
a
could
lot
get
better
his.
though.
Yeah, but I'm saying any team with like a really tough front court defensively, he might struggle against.
Prize Picks is very easy to use, and that's why we love using Prize Picks. They're in over half of the country right now, the United States, and it's very easy to play. Just register for an account, you verify your identity, complete your deposit, choose up to 2 to 6 player statistics. And you know what's the best thing about Prize Picks is that they give you the option to do a power play or a flex play. A flex play is that one of your entries could be wrong. One of the things that you select could be wrong and you still get a payout.
Depending on how many picks you got, I think you get up to 2 wrong. And you could still make, like, if you put 5 in and you get 3 right, you can still make some money.
Yeah, facts. It's like the times 0.2.
Yeah, you still make a little
Mhm.
cheese, so you always have an opportunity to make some money.
The
with
goblins
prospects.
and the demons, man. Those bets.
Those ones are hitting.
Those mores.
That KD is over 1 point.
Facts,
Shit like that was
What
clutch.
happens when putting the entries in, sometimes you get a little bit too gritty.
Uh-huh.
You select 6 player statistics, you go more and less on one of them, and you see the payout for all 6 if you get right. And sometimes you don't want to do the flex play.
You're right.
You see the flex play, the payout significantly less, but you got to
Just straight up.
understand when you're making picks,
Listen.
it's better to make money than not make
Yeah,
money.
no,
There's
me.
no way you do flex.
I never do.
plays. There's no way.
I haven't clicked the flex play.
Anytime I've
one
done a flex
time, bro.
play, I haven't won.
And then, honestly, I've never went under. I've never done flex play. This has been straight over power play. I go for the big. I'm a big swinger guy.
Big more, you mean?
Yeah.
Forget about the overs. We're going more
More or
baby.
less.
Right. Pardon me. Prize
More
picks.
or less.
More or less. Pardon me.
So you guys can sign up for Prize Picks. Use code PAS. 100% deposit match up to $100. We got our first super chat of the show from Josh Boateng. Shout out to you guys for the consistent episodes. 2024 will be great. Love to see the J Edits Love by Riv. My Rodman shirt came in today too.
Oh, fire. Okay. This shit came in after I bought it 3 months ago.
I'll put you on J Edits.
Just got
You
it.
did. You definitely
I'll
did.
put you on
Yeah, I
J
just
Edits.
got I got this one. I got a Andre 3000 one
That's
and
tough.
Mac Miller one.
Tough.
Yeah.
What does it say on the back of that shirt? Does it say
It's like-
Bad Boys?
It's him and it's like a bunch of his faces.
Yeah.
And I forgot what it is. I think something like he's a bad man or some shit like that.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't mean, he's a sick.
Is it Bad Boys?
No, it's not Bad Boys.
Can I check? Can you like turn around?
Yeah, what happened?
Whoa.
Okay.
You bend over.
Yeah, turn around for us.
Show me that backside.
Dennis
That's hard.
says Dennis Rodman. That's
Okay,
tough.
it's hard.
Okay, that's
It's very
tough.
tough.
It did say Bad Man Nothing. It's just Dennis
Okay.
Rodman. Yeah,
Oh,
just straight Dennis
shit, I'm
Rodman.
fucked. Say bad man at
Because the
top.
other shirt that he came out with has Bad Boy on the back of it.
Bad as I want to be. That's
Bad
at the
as I
bottom.
wanna be,
Yeah,
okay.
Bad as I want to be.
Facts. Let's get into the show. First topic of the show. Should OKC make a trade? Simple yes or no question, but of course, there's more context always in these type of questions. We just saw the OKC Thunder beat the Celtics pretty convincingly. They almost gave away the game in the fourth quarter, but they still held out strong and won it.
It was a 4-point game.
OKC,
No,
but
OKC was up big.
they was
They
up
were
pretty
up big.
convincingly.
They
No,
were
that's what I
throwing.
said.
They were throwing in the fourth.
OKC almost, sold the game in the fourth, but they ended up winning the game.
Convincedly didn't sit right with me, but we can go on.
It wasn't convincingly.
Riv, this is for you first.
Sure, for
Should
sure.
OKC make a trade? And if they should, what type should they make?
I don't think it's an easy, and you just mentioned, I don't think it's an easy, simple yes or no, because I think OKC is trending in the right direction. I think they're one of the few teams with one max player who's really young, and a bunch of really young, talented players that just complement him well. And I think with him, between him, Shaq, J-Dub, they produce, and shout out to Mark, their coach, they produce the top 6 offense and top 6 defense in the league. They're one of the best at getting steals, deflecting. They play well. Offensively, they run through SGA, but Shaq can get his too. Shaq can pop out, hit the 3-ball, can handle in transition. And J-Dub is no sneaky guy too. When he
He's
gets
like
in his
that.
mode, and I think it's interesting because this is a team that's kind of riddled with so much talent, so much draft capital. They can make any move in the league right now to get any star. I think I would say if the right move approaches, yes. I think for a player like Laurie, who's been circling around, that would be good. For a player like Donovan Mitchell, if he decides he wants to re-sign with OKC, I think that would be good, because I think SGA and Don are like a beautiful backcourt. I think Laurie fits perfectly. He's a guy who can play at any level, can also defend, so that brings in. But I don't think they're in a position where they need to make a move. I think if the right move is available, they should pull the trigger. I think they're in that position where they can either wait and see how this young core plays in the playoffs, wait and see how they produce, because this is still a fresh core. They were in the play-in last year. No Shet. This is year 2, J-Dub. They got a lot of talent. Casey Wallace is also another one who's been
He's been amazing.
He's
My
been
dog.
efficient.
I was telling
as
you
an
about
offense.
him.
That is your dog.
Might be the
I will
best
give you that.
corner
That is
Appreciate
your
that.
dog,
in the
your
league.
dog.
Appreciate that.
Offensively, he's been as efficient as it can come as a rookie. Defensively, he is a dog. Lou Dortz, he's not the greatest offensive player, but defensively,
Torture chamber.
Dortz Chamber, you know how he gets. So I think this team is in a great position to kind of just wait. I think they have a shit ton of money. And you got to think, too, because over the course, like we got this new rule with going over the apron, the second or the third, So you got to remember, you got to pay Shet in 2-3 years. You got to pay J-Dub in 2-3 years. You got to re-sign SGA down the road. So it's a lot to think about in this whole OKC rebuilding process. A lot to see who you're going to pay, who you're not going to pay. But I think right now, the second seed in the West, second or third seed in the West, there's no need to make a move. I would like them to make a move if they can. I think they need some front court depth. I think sometimes they do get bullied down low in the paint. If Shaq gets in foul trouble, they're a little sticky in that situation because they do run a bit of a small lineup in certain situations. But all in all, if the right move is available, I would say yes, they can make the move. But if it's not available, don't rush the process.
Go ahead, talk to me, Mr. Moran, because I know where you're going with this.
You know where I'm going with this.
I
tweeted it last
this
night.
Is a crazy question.
No, I had to cover my mouth because I was about to laugh mid your monologue, and you didn't deserve that.
That was a crazy question. Funny shit.
I think you need to be patient with OKC and with this young core. You need to be patient because this is already the second seed in the West. The season's not over. They can very well get the first seed still.
Yep.
They're in the running. They're only one game back behind Minnesota. I think it's too much to ask a young team to bring in an established all-star player to this team and ask them for it to gel. Lauri Markkanen is the name that pops up the most. I've also heard Pascal Siakam. Lauri Markkanen would be a better fit, but you have to think about more than just fit and basketball stylistic preferences, because with Lauri Markkanen, if you trade for him, this is somebody that right now in Utah, he's getting a 25% usage percentage. That would be second most on OKC. Even though he is an off-ball player, that is still a lot to ask for a team to just bring in Lauri Markkanen and try to fit, because now you have to start running plays from him. You have to start running sets for him, and that probably takes away from SGA's usage. Pascal Siakam from Toronto, somebody that needs the ball in his hands, so you're taking that opportunity away from Jalen Williams. Not only that, but Lauri Markkanen is due for a payday in a year and a half. Pascal Siakam is due for a payday this offseason. Those are two players that are very much looking at what their market could be, and they want to maximize their money. And I'm not a fan of teams getting players on deals that are close to expiring, because now you don't know if they're fully bought in on the team. And sometimes they just are bought in on getting their numbers and getting paid once free agency comes along. SGA is an all-NBA player. He's a superstar. Jalen Williams is going to be an all-star one day. Chet Holmgren is going to be an all-star one day. You already have the foundation to win a championship. You just have to be patient. I think the move they should make, because I do think they need to make a trade, but they don't need to make a trade for a big-time name. I would like them to go out and get Alex Caruso. Give up some first-round picks for Alex Caruso, even if you got to overpay for Caruso. It doesn't matter, because Presti has a treasure chest of picks.
He does.
Another name that came up to me, because they lack size and it's pretty clear that they're a smaller team, go and get Gordon Hayward from the Hornets. I think Gordon Hayward would fit in perfectly with this team. He can shoot, he can play make, he can take you off the dribble. He's a solid defender. He's a great team defender. And if somebody like that is implemented into this team and he's either coming off the bench or starting, and now you have SGA, Dort, Hayward, Williams, and Chet, I think it makes that lineup much more better. So I would get a player around the edges that helps you. I wouldn't get a star player to this team. So I would make a trade, but not a big splash trade.
Want to talk, Dehls?
I think I see both sides of it, because you would like to see one playoff series, one playoff run, and kind of, establish your weaknesses there and go from there. Because if you do make a move now or at the deadline, you're basically locking yourself into that player, assuming it's, a big name like a Lauri or Pascal. To be fair, I think Lauri is the pretty clear move over those two guys. That was my New Year's resolution. And the team is a little bit small, although Chet, of course, being that unicorn at 7 foot, being able to handle the ball, they don't really have much depth behind them that have size. But I do look at this Thunder team, and they are young, right? SGA, Chet, Jalen Williams. But that wouldn't stop me from going and getting another player that fits with these guys, because the hardest thing to do in a rebuild to me is finding that 1A player, finding your MVP type player. You got that in SGA. The next thing to do is, okay, who's that person you can pair with to be that number two? They found a perfect number two in Chet. And they probably also found their number 3 in
Right.
Jalen Williams, who was, just runner-up to Rookie of the Year, made a crazy run the last couple months of the season, two-way player, had a clutch basket over Jason Tatum last night to really secure the game. He's improving. So you have 3 players who are really your core, and let alone all of the other pieces they've drafted between Cason Wallace, Lou Dort, Isaiah Joe, who they picked up off like waivers, I want to say. Philly cut him. They have all of the pieces, but now it's basically, how can we get all these pieces that are our core? How can we uplift them? And that's where I look at Lauri Markkanen, and I'm saying he would fit in. I know the usage rate's around 25%, which you mentioned would be second highest on the Thunder, but I still don't think that would take away too much from what SGA is doing, what Chet's doing. Of course, like naturally, do some of their numbers come down? Probably, but I still think that makes them a better team overall. You're bringing in Lauri, who's 7 foot, who could play off ball, like you mentioned, who could obviously hit the 3, who doesn't, even though the usage percentage is at 25%, he doesn't need the ball in his hand to be an impactful player. So I really look at Lauri and like, this feels like the perfect player. There are some names out there, like we mentioned, Pascal
What about
Siakam,
Mikal
Zach
Bridges?
LaVine, even
He won't
Mikal
become
Bridges,
available.
but I don't. First of all, the Nets don't really want to give him up, or at least that's the latest report.
They
And I still
don't, but-
think Lauri fits
yeah.
better. I like the
Yeah.
size, I like the shooting, and it just fits. It doesn't feel like an awkward fit on paper. Like I feel like Pascal would be still a bit of an awkward fit. Just because he's not as nearly good as a shooter as Lauri is. So I still look at that move saying, I know how good you are, how young you are. They won 6 in a row now over some of the best teams in the NBA. It doesn't feel like it's needed to make a move, but it just feels like such a natural fit for me, where you have all of these draft picks and all of these assets. We've already seen this past season, they ran out of roster spots where they had to kind of just get off players, didn't have enough players, or didn't have enough roster spots for all the players they wanted. So at some point, you're going to have to move these draft picks or players and kind of condense the roster a bit. So I think Lauri Markkanen feels like a pretty clean and obvious move on the OKC.
Just to
Thunder.
add to your point, Mr. Dehls, on catch and shoot threes, he gets almost 8 a game. He's shooting almost 39% from 3. So it would be a perfect fit. You mentioned the usage rate. I think that we have seen that he does not need the ball in his hands to obviously be successful. SGA is going to be the primary ball handler. You saw it last night. There are very few people in the league that can guard him, and one of the best defensive teams in the league. They threw Derek White. They threw Drew Holiday at him. It did not matter. He was going to get his. You plug in Lauri to this. I don't think it's imperative they make a trade. Would it kind of boost their odds to come out of the Western Conference if they made a move for Lauri, if they made a move for Caruso or Pascal Siakam, who I feel like would be third on that list for me personally? I would go Lauri. Of the 3 you mentioned, I'd go Lauri, I'd go Caruso, and then I would go Pascal. They already have a solid defensive front, like Riv mentioned already, top 6 in defensive rating. And Lauri Markkanen only adds to them being one of the best 3-point shooting teams. You add Lauri Markkanen to that with his ability to be such a great catch and shoot scorer, it only becomes scarier for the Oklahoma City Thunder. You mentioned Caruso. Now that becomes intriguing to me for the idea. They're already one of the better defensive units. Cason Wallace coming off the bench. He's a great defensive player in his own right. Then you add Alex Caruso to this bunch. Now we're talking about legitimate contention for being one of, if not the best defensive teams, right there with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I don't think that it's 100% yes, make a move or you're not going to be able to get anything done this season, because you look at the way they're playing basketball. They're a top 4 team in the Western Conference. They're one of the best teams in the NBA, and they're doing this at such a young team age. But if you want to really make yourselves known amongst the league, you go out there and you get Lauri Markkanen. You get the size that you ask for in a 7-foot player in Lauri. On top of it, you get the amazing 3-point shooting that Lauri brings. I think that's the move that makes the most sense. But Caruso, definitely a great name to mention, because there's very few guards in the league that I would take over him when it comes to defense.
Yeah, and I mentioned Bridges because obviously they came out with the report that saying they're not moving Bridges. They want to build around foundation. That shit sounds cool and all. But I think we're talking about a player who has already shown you what type of player he can be in a moment where there's a 1A or there's a 1, there's a 2, and then there's him. He's shown you that. He's shown you he can be that 3-and-D type of player, that defensive player. All they need is another guy that can plug it in. And Lauri obviously makes so much sense. But you got to think of it like this too. SGA got here 3-4 years ago, maybe 5. You know, he played with Chris Paul, improved. He was a 24 point per game scorer when Chris Paul left. Didn't play much that year, though. He played, I think, like 40 or 50 games. Last year, it got to the play-in. Chet missed the whole year. Now I guess I want to say in the 3rd year of this rebuild, you want to maximize SGA. You want to maximize him as much as possible. You know, you want to be able to put the best team around him at this young age because you don't want to sit here and have this team like he's 29, 30 years old, and you're like, damn, I wish we would have maximized him sooner. You know, he's not going to score 30 points per game forever. You know, he's not going to be elite forever. You want to kind of like take advantage of the talent that you can now. So I think we're all on the same page in terms of you can make a move if it makes sense. You know, if Lauri becomes available and you can throw 3 first-round picks and somebody else, like, and let's be realistic, they got a spot waiting in Giddey's spot. Wherever Giddey's spot is, they got a spot waiting for. He just doesn't fit with this
Ironically
basketball
enough, he was the best player on the
Yeah,
court.
no,
Let me not say best, but he was one of the best players.
The last like 10 games or so, his shooting's been a lot better overall.
He just doesn't fit. I don't think he's the guy he's probably the odd man out in this situation.
Yes.
So that's another spot right there that you can fill in with a guy that's Lauri, who they can run plays for, who they can run now, not just the pick and roll with Shet and SGA, but now the pick and roll with him and Lauri. Like, that's something that can open up. Siakam, he's a weird fit. I don't want him in OKC. I think you're looking at the guys who can play on ball, off ball. So, of course, Lauri, Alex Caruso.
Another connector, though.
Yeah, I just Siakam on a 1-year deal kind of seems like he just wants to stay in Toronto. He's not giving a full commitment. I don't know if you tie. And then Lauri fits their age timeline. He's 26 years old. You know what I'm saying? Siakam's up there in age. I think he fits for a different type of team. But OKC, they're in the perfect position.
And this core is basically everyone signed through 2026. SGA, who's obviously on an extension, but you got Dort making 17 mil. Chet's going to be on his rookie contract. Jalen Williams on his rookie contract. Case and Wallace. Like, the core of this team is signed through 2026. So you could go out there and still, you know, give money to Lauri and not be like, oh my God, we're going to hit the second apron. We're not going to be able to trade picks or buyout market. Like, you're still going to have plenty of money to work with where you don't really have to worry about that.
And bringing in Lauri, I don't think it hinders the development of a Chet or a J-Dub. Of course, he's going to have the ball in his hands a little bit more than those guys, but they're still able to get theirs without. You see the way that SGA handles that offense. Lauri Markkanen's not going to impact the way that Chet's going to get his. If they need to give the ball to Chet to get his, if he has a mismatch, they'll do that. In situations like we saw last night, hey, we have so many options. J-Dub, you have Jason Tatum on you. We still believe in you to get a bucket like that. I think that having a plethora of players that can get theirs in different ways makes you versatile, and it makes it hard for opposing defense to play against you.
I think Lauri helps their spacing. I don't think he helps their size issue. He's 7 foot, but he doesn't play like he's 7 foot. I don't think he's going to help their rebounding tremendously. And when you do play him, you're now playing Chet and him together, which are 2 7-footers, and Chet can switch out. But
last 2 seasons, he's been a good rebounder, though.
Now you have somebody in Lauri that offenses in the playoffs will hunt Lauri in that matchup. They will attack him on switches. I don't trust Lauri in that situation. So I think he helps out the 3-point shooting and he helps out their offense for sure. I don't know how much he helps out their defense. That's why I think right now what the OKC Thunder need more than anything, I don't think they need more offense. I think they need legitimate defensive stoppers that can stop opposing great perimeter players in the playoffs. Because while we know, SGA is a great defender, Dort's a great defender, I think J-Dub's a great defender as well. Those guards off the bench are still young. Like, Case and Wallace is a great defender, but how will he look in a playoff setting first time being in the playoffs?
He's been pretty amazing so far this year.
He has, but it's also in the playoffs, you just face bigger teams. So would I rather have Kaysen or bring in an Alex Caruso who's 6'5", who can legitimately guard? And Josh Giddey, I agree with you. I think he's a liability. Isaiah Joe's the intriguing one to me because Isaiah Joe is an average defender, but Isaiah Joe's impact, I think, gets severely slept on in what he's meant to OKC. In 1,081 possessions this season where Isaiah Joe has been on the floor with SGA, Isaiah Joe is recording 16.5 points per game, shooting 9 threes per 75 possessions, 44% on those threes, and OKC has an offense rating of 126.6 when they're on the floor together. And Mark Daigneault has done an amazing job with their minutes because 214 of SGA and Isaiah Joe's 501 minutes, so a little less than half, they have come with the other team having 2 or fewer starters in. So Mark Daigneault has done an amazing job putting SGA and Isaiah Joe in lineups against bench players. And the production has been through the roof. They're plus 26.5 in those minutes. But even when 4 more starters are in, that lineup is still a positive lineup. Isaiah Joe has really brought life to their spacing. And I think right now their best lineup is SGA, Jalen Williams, Isaiah Joe, Chet, and I'm missing one more, and Dort. But I think that they need a little bit more defensive depth. And that's why I would trade for some bigger guards. I think they need bigger guards because I love Chet in the center role. I don't really think that he needs to stop playing center as much. And like I said, I don't know if Laurie helps out the rebounding so much. And the rebounding, offensive rebounding wise, they're terrible. But defensive rebounding, they're around average. They're 17th in defensive rebounding, so a little less than average. But I think if you get some bigger guards in there or a bigger wing, that can help out your rebounding
Thing
too.
is, it's kind of a crutch because I was thinking while you were talking like they need a defensive big. I was thinking of Nick Claxton. I was legitimately thinking of that's a guy.
Claxton would be
If they
tough.
put him at the 5, they put Shed at the 4.
Yeah, that's a scary
But
lineup.
here's the difference. Here's the thing, like the problem. SGA and J-Dub, they love the inside game. They love to be in the paint. They love to, be at the mid-range. And because Shet's at the 5, because although Dortz is left wide open, when they put Joe in there, they have so much space in the paint or in the mid-range game. If you bring Laurie in there, now that's a 5-out offense. That's an offense that you give SGA clearance to the rim. You give J-Dub clearance to the rim. And I think that's like part of their game. So it's tough for sure because you do need 17th rebound is nuts. And then you play teams. The thing about the West, though, outside of Minnesota and Denver, it's not many teams that are really like their front court is like a big interior. Like the Clippers is a fine matchup for them. Their front court is small. The Warriors, fine matchup for them. The Pelicans it's not a crazy matchup because Valanciunas is going to get outplayed. He's going to get played off the court anyways. So they'll play like a Larry Nance who's 6'8", 6'9", and then Zion 6'6". So it's not an insane matchup. Lakers is another. That's a problem. AD, he's but
Bron.
they seem like they played him fine. But there isn't like in the East is more of the issue. You got Philly, you got the Heat, you got Boston, you got Milwaukee. Like those are the interior defense. And the West is kind of more perimeter oriented and stuff like that. So I think they'll be all right. Once again, this is a learning experience. If they get to the playoffs, it's really interesting to see how they're gonna look.
The lineup with Laurie, if I'm not mistaken, would be SGA, it'd be Dortz, it'd be J-Dub, it'd be Laurie, and then it'd be Chet. That sounds perfect to me.
Offensively, yeah.
And defensively, it's fine too.
You have
get to
enough
keep
defenders around Laurie
Yeah,
too.
Laurie's
that-
not a bad defender. He's just
I just don't think Laurie helps you in a matchup against Anthony Davis. I don't think he does.
No, Chet obviously as the roamer
Who
or
does?
waiting around the
Or
paint.
I'm saying the
It's like
size.
Gordon Caruso's not doing that.
The
either.
size right now, OKC struggles with rebounding and with size. I think Laurie helps out their spacing offensively, but even though he's 7 foot, I don't think he helps them in those size matchups. I don't think that he helps them in a matchup against Jokic or Anthony Davis. So I
Who
think
does?
Yeah,
I mean, there's
very
not
few
many people
defenders.
that do,
motherfucking Claxton, baby.
but there are players that are stronger that at least have a strong base that can kind of take on that impact and still have Chet behind them and roam around.
Mhm.
Andre Drummond.
I think they need somebody.
hooping.
They need a
20
backup
rebounds,
center,
bro.
but there's no backup center on the trade market that you can just get right now. So I think that's the bigger issue. So for me, the question really becomes: do you want to bolster your offense or your perimeter defense? And I would go with perimeter defense if I was OKC. That's what I'd go with.
It's interesting because they would be in situations where the rebound would be, but offensively they're gonna create extreme havoc if they have Laurie. Like that's AD can't guard him and Shaq. You know what I'm saying? Like that's gonna be a serious issue. They'd be able to stretch out defenses. A lot of movement. But I agree with you. I think a big front court depth is definitely. They need to get in tune with that. I think perimeter they're fine though. I think they are small, but they make up for it because they're great in the passing lanes. They're great connecting. They talk on defense. Like
You got Chet back there,
they're
too.
in sync defensively. So I think on the perimeter they're okay. It's that back line defense. If Shaq gets 5 fouls, what the fuck are you gonna
You're
do?
cooked,
You know.
yeah.
So
Going
they
out.
do need help on that time.
6'6" Jalen Williams.
The game last night was pretty entertaining. I mean, we saw SGA be the best player on the court, and
He was
that's now risen up this question of: is SGA indeed better than Jason Tatum? Jason Tatum has a better resume, but there's a
I
poll
did
on
not read
Twitter.
That was on the.
There's
was.
a
NBA University.
Oh, he did pull that up.
There
Yeah,
is a
SGA was
poll
cooking on the
on
poll.
Twitter right now going on. NBA University did put it up about which player would you take. There was another poll that I saw. If you have a blank slate, or not a blank slate, if you have equal teams and you're picking one of these two players, SGA or Tatum, to lead you to the finals and win it, which one of the two would you take?
I'm still gonna take Tatum. understanding he still has the two-way ability. Hasn't been that prolific shooter this season, but obviously can still get to the rim. Has been working on his mid-range game a lot this offseason, but really it's the shot quality that I don't fully agree with at
His
times.
shot diet for sure.
Yeah, sometimes he takes some dumbass shots. And even yesterday, he took some dumb shots. They were going in at times. Other times, it was a pretty bad miss. But I still would go with Tatum. Bigger, can play defense. Obviously, you see the offensive ceiling for an SGA. I just think it's a little bit too early to ask this question for an SGA. We need to see what he can do in the playoffs. I believe that he can still be a great player come playoff time. But it is very early, especially when you've seen what Tatum has done in the playoffs.
That's a tough question. SGA is the best two-way guard in the league.
That's not an insane statement.
No, I think it's it's
He's leading the league in stocks.
He's
the best.
a
He's
great
the best-
defensive player.
He's the best two-way guard in the league.
Jason Tatum's a walking Eastern Conference Finals appearance, though.
That is a
He is.
great. That is a
What do you
great
think, Dehls?
fucking title.
Oh,
to
I'm,
have.
I'm taking SGA.
That's a great title.
Now, I mean, listen, SGA has been playing out of his mind this year. You know, I know before the season started, people had him in the top 10. There were some interesting conversations around that. He's undoubtedly been in the top 10, probably closer to 5 than 10 this
People were
season.
angry that he was in the top 10.
After making
And now there's
All-NBA
conversation
first
about
team.
him being better than Jason
Yeah.
Tatum.
Now he's been OD, and
You should have known this.
Tatum's numbers have like decreased this year because obviously you bring in Porzingis 20 point per game, Drew Holiday, although who hasn't really been great offensively, just someone else who could have the ball offensively. But Tatum's still giving you, I think, like 27, 9, and 5 or 6, something like that on 60% true shooting.
Yeah, the 3-point shooting's down a
The
little.
3-point shooting is, but true shooting's at 60%. You know, so he's still been pretty damn good. And as we've seen in the playoffs, he steps up. You know, like this, he have a game here or there where he has a bad efficiency game and he gives you 20 on 40% of shooting short, but he's shown giving you 50 in game 7, it's giving you 45 in game 6 against Milwaukee, showing up in that fourth quarter of game 6 against Philly, where he's had signature moments in the playoffs. Of course, the finals is really the only blemish on his playoff resume. Of course, being one of the, I think he broke the record for turnovers in that first game against the Warriors, although he had 12 or 13 assists. I'm still taking JT. I like the bigger wing, 6'9", being able to, although they're finishing around the rim is probably around the same. I like the physical, nature that Tatum can kind of bring in a playoff setting.
I think that when we get into resume and who's done it longer and who's actually done it, sometimes we can remove the conversation from who has a better skill set currently versus who's done more. If you just take SGA and Tatum and what they do great and what their skill set is, offensively, SGA to me is a better offensive player. He gets to the rim better. He shoots 54% in the paint. Jason Tatum's not even at 40% in the paint. So SGA clearly has a finishing advantage over him. He has a mid-range advantage over him because he can get to the mid-range and he's more efficient from the mid-range. Three-point shooting, that's Jason Tatum.
For sure.
But when I look at offensively and their skill sets, SGA handles the ball better. He play makes better. He gets to the rim better. He finishes better. He gets to his spots in the mid-range better. He's a better mid-range shooter. Offensively, what Tatum has the advantage in, I think, is he's stronger, so he's able to post up better, and he can shoot from the 3 better. But offensively, I do think, to me, it's pretty clear that SGA has a better skill set and is more efficient and has more of an arsenal of moves offensively. Defensively, Tatum has the slight edge, but SGA is one of the better defenders in the league right now. He's leading the NBA in stocks. So when you're looking at it from just both these players and what they're providing right now, I think SGA is providing a little bit more to his team. I mean, Jason Tatum, he's had a great team for 2 years now. I don't think he's had a great team every single year of his career. He's had a great team for 2 years now, and he's had the chance to go and make an MVP case for himself. He's come up short in those seasons. SGA in his first year that the OKC Thunder are actually taking off, he might win MVP. It's hard to say that he's not in the front running. Embiid is number 1. We'll see how voters feel about his MVP candidacy because of his playoff blemishes, but SGA is going to be a top 3 MVP candidate for the entire season, and deservedly so. I mean, he's one of the more efficient players in basketball right now.
I mean, Tatum gave you 39 and 5 last year. Those are MVP numbers. Just Embiid won it. Like, it's not like he's out here averaging 24 a game.
I know. What'd you take, Riff? You haven't answered yet.
I think
But that's what I'm wondering. What do you mean by fell short, though? Fell short of winning it?
Tatum. Yeah.
Even though he was elite last season?
He didn't finish top 2 Was he third or fourth?
I thought he was third.
Because last year
Top
was
nine.
That was
Embiid.
Giannis,
Last year was
Embiid,
Jokic.
Joker.
Apologize. You're right. It was Giannis top
Embiid,
3.
Joker. He might
And then
have been
the
like
year
5 or
before
6.
when Jokic won, I don't know where Tatum finished
He was
in
5.
the MVP race.
5 or 4. Him and Booker were back to back 5 or 4.
Because Tatum kind of, the Celtics kind of
Yeah,
started
first half
shaky,
there,
but
they were terrible.
second
Yeah.
half, the Celtics and Tatum were amazing.
If I'm not mistaken, my memory corrects me right. It's Booker and Tatum.
Mhm.
4 and 5.
I think you are right.
I think that was that.
So are you taking Rev, SGA, or Tatum? You're an SGA guy.
Yeah. The question is weird because it's like, okay, if you put these two in the exact same situation at the exact same time, who would you rather have? I think that's an unfair advantage. I think basketball is not played like that. It's like the situations are what make the players player. You know, who can bring this team at adversity, who can, build a team, like who can have a team built around them. And I think these are two different cases. In terms of skill set, I understand what Joel is saying right now. SGA is in a whole different toolbox right now. He's doing everything in terms of the post up, the mid-range, getting to the rim, transition, the pull-up three. Like he's doing almost anything he wants out there in the court. And Tatum, because Tatum has been, kind of doing this for a couple of years now, and people are kind of tired of the Celtics, it's kind of like, all right, well, we've kind of seen Tatum. We like the new toy in the block, and SGA, for people who are casuals, this is a new thing. Like, this is a new toy in the block. And of course, he's averaging 30 points a game. This is the second time doing it. So he's been amazing. I still think I'd take Tatum. I love SGA to death. I am one of the biggest SGA fans in the world. But I think you have to factor in, like what they've done in the playoffs. And I do believe SGA's game will translate. But until I see it with my own eyes, I have to keep the same energy. So I think because of the playoffs and what I've seen from Tatum, who's a pretty good playoff performer, I'm going to take Tatum.
He was pretty great against the Pelicans. In the playing game,
Yeah.
he was pretty great against the Pelicans.
He was good. I don't, playing is playing.
I think
Playing
that
matters, though.
Yeah, but I'm here for the big picture.
I think that
Second
these
season.
conversations are close because you look at the faces of the league right now that are at least performing at an all-NBA level that are young. It's Luka, it's SGA, it's Jason Tatum. Anthony Edwards is up next. I don't think he's quite been performing at the level of those guys yet. He's a tier or two below that. But the faces of the NBA are these guys for the next decade.
Or those, remember back those SGA and Tatum efficiency numbers. What were those at?
Crying. Bro did a
For what?
No, huh?
You did
No,
a
I was
relook
just curious.
yourself?
I was just curious because I heard like 30% at the rim or some shit like that, and I was like, wait,
So, yeah,
that
this
sound
year,
right. I might have misheard.
So this year, I have them. SGA is 71.2% in the restricted area. Tatum 70.3% restricted area, but in the paint. So shots that are not in the restricted area, but that are in the paint, SGA is at 53.8%. Tatum's at 35.4%. This is via NBA.com. In the mid-range, SGA is at 49.6% from the mid-range. Tatum's at 46.2%. And SGA is 33% above the break three, which is, the biggest volume of threes they take. And Tatum's at 34.7% above the break. So SGA is better across the board efficiency-wise. Restricted area in the paint, mid-range, he's worse above the break from three.
And Tatum's been struggling from three. That's got to get downhill, man. Fucking, you're 6'10" and brolic. Come on, man.
You mentioned Mikal Bridges as a possible destination for OKC. There was a report that just came out that they're not willing to trade Mikal Bridges. But I think an even more alarming thing about the Nets right now is that it feels like Jacque Vaughn has lost the locker room. I thought Jacque Vaughn was a great coach. He definitely fooled me when he had Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. He looked very good. But recently, he talked on the Nets woes, and he said, we need each other. I'm not a Hall of Fame coach, and we have no all-stars on our team. And so this is a collective group that has to play together on every single night, and we'll continue to grasp that ideal, but that's the challenge for this group. They're on a 4-game losing streak. He practically tanked the game against the Bucks where the Bucks blew them out. Mikal played 12 minutes. Cam Thomas played 12 minutes. They lost to the Wizards. He subbed Cam Thomas out late in that game when Cam Thomas was starting to get a groove. They lost to OKC 124-108. They lost to the Pelicans 112-85. The Nets are in a tricky situation right now because I don't know if trading players is the best pathway forward for them because they don't own any of their pinks. So just straight up tanking is not going to help this team improve long term. But hearing Jacque Vaughn have this quote was disappointing to me because it wasn't long ago when I remembered Kenny Atkinson was inherited one of the worst Nets teams that any coach could inherit. And instead of making excuses like this and demeaning himself as a coach in the process and his players. He just stuck it out and developed. D'Lo was a lost cause, came to the Nets, had upside, became an all-star. Dinwiddie averaged 20, was close to being an all-star. Jared Allen became one of the better rim running and defensive centers in the NBA. Joe Harris was great as a three-point shooter. I mean, that team's rotations, the players who played the most minutes were D'Lo, Dinwiddie, LeVert, Jared Allen, Joe Harris, DeMarre Carroll, and Allen Crabbe. That's what Kenny Atkinson had. That's what he led to the playoffs. He didn't complain. So hearing Jacque Vaughn complain with a team that I think is more talented than that old Nets roster, I think is disappointing for all Nets fans to hear, because this team is not a terrible team. Does it have a lot of role players on it? Yes, but it's not a terrible team. And it's clear that you're seeing the mismanagement that Jacque Vaughn has been doing with the Nets. He benched Cam Thomas as of recently.
That was dumb.
Mikal Bridges has regressed as an offensive player. The lineups, the substitutions. Jacque Vaughn is very much a motivator. He's not an X's and O's guy. And I think that's holding back the Nets right now. And they might have to make a decision sooner rather than later on his coaching.
Can I ask you a question, Joel? Did he lie?
He didn't lie.
So what's the problem?
Quote had me crying.
I think the problem is that this is not something that you say.
The only thing that I firmly believe is self-awareness is key. He did not lie. He's not a Hall of Fame coach. He's not calling himself a bad coach. He's just saying, I'm not an all-time great coach. I'm still young. I still have my ways to go. We don't have an all-star. They don't have an all-star. Mikal Bridges is a solid player. Cam Thomas, he is a volume shooter. Cam Johnson has great efficiency. I used the word volume shooter to
Cam Thomas
is not good.
The unfortunate
He's
he's a volume shooter.
Scorer,
How about
right
we just keep that volume
not
shooter?
good.
That's what he is. He's a
He's not
volume
good.
shooter.
Okay.
Okay.
He can put the ball in the hoop.
He is good.
My whole
What
point.
can he do?
Saying he's not good.
Score.
Like he
That's
can
it.
score.
Inefficiently?
He doesn't
can
score
score.
inefficiently.
He's
He's a-
okay
He's a
efficiently.
volume shooter, and
What
then
else can he do?
his last game was horrendous.
He gets to the rim at an insanely high rate.
Also, his minutes be wishy-washy. Like sometimes
What
he's out
else,
the start
what
lineup,
else
sometimes
can
start.
he do?
I think you're being way too critical on Cam Thomas,
Is he Jalen Green?
because Jalen Green, he's been playing better as of
Is
late.
that just the equivalent?
Or there's
No,
somebody who
I think
just-
they play differently.
If they can't get a bucket, what are they doing for?
Ah,
That's
the way
all
you
I
said
mean.
it. Okay.
I think
Maybe
they play
not good,
differently.
but strong. for
I
sure.
think you're
'Cause,
being
you are being strong.
I think you're being harsh, and you're being harsh because it's very unfair to blame Cam Thomas for his situation, because we've seen when he gets consistent minutes and is able to get into a rhythm, he can score, and he can score efficiently. Before he got hurt, he was shooting close to 50% from the field. The three-point efficiency wasn't that great, but it wasn't terrible either. Ever since he's come back from his injury, Jacque Vaughn has benched him. When Cam Thomas has had stretches of scoring great in games, he has been brought to the bench by Jacque Vaughn. And I think it's very hard as a player when you're going into every game and you don't have a defined role and you don't know when the next time you could be substituted out
Joel.
is.
Joel, you know why he goes to the bench though, right?
I know he's not a good defender.
He can't do anything else.
If he's not scoring for you, he's not a positive.
It's 0 for 11.
0 for 11, 0 for 4 from 3.
He literally cannot defend well. He's not a good player. He doesn't even keep his eyes up to make a good pass. If he's not scoring and scoring in an isolation matter, he can't do anything else. So maybe not good was very strong. And I can admit that.
Yes.
I can take accountability.
I agree.
That was extreme. What I do want to say is he's just not getting benched just because he has an undefined role. No, Jacque Vaughn, it's clear what Jacque Vaughn wants. He wants a defensive-oriented team. If you don't give him that
And they're
defense
one
on
of
the
the
other
worst.
side,
They're bottom, what are they, 17?
which is insane. I don't know what he's trying to do, but like Cam Thomas, he gets benched because at times he's not defending well, and he's not keeping his eyes up. He's not passing the ball. He's not, outside of scoring, he can't do anything else.
There are times he gets benched for that, but versus the Wizards in the fourth quarter, the Nets were not able to generate any offense, and Cam Thomas was getting buckets late in the game, and he got subbed out right after that. Not doing things wrong, and Jacque Vaughn subbing him out. I think it's very hard for a young player, especially a 22-year-old, to continue to have confidence when his coach clearly doesn't have confidence in him. I think Cam Thomas, he's already shown his flashes. I think if he has a coach that is able to coach him and not just bench him whenever he doesn't see fit, Cam Thomas can improve. The defense might not, there's not much improvement for that, but the passing there is, being more unselfish as a teammate there is. I think with Cam Thomas, you have to live with the good and bad of his play style, and his play style oftentimes leads to good with the Nets. I mean, he is the Nets' best shot creator, and that's not saying much, but it's clear that he can create his own shot better than anybody on that team. And you talk about Jacque Vaughn wanting to be defensively oriented. Well, there's no excuse not to be, because Cam Thomas might be the black hole in that defense, but Mikal Bridges was a former DPOY candidate. His defense has really fell off in Brooklyn. And am I going to attribute all of that to Mikal? I think some of that has to do with coaching. Jacque Vaughn recently started to experiment with a lineup of Dorian Finney-Smith, Dinwiddie, Mikal, Cam Johnson, and then Claxton.
Mm-hmm.
Claxton is one of the better rim protectors in basketball. He deters players from going to the basket. One of the better defenders in the league.
For sure.
They don't have a good defense still. So at some point you have to ask, is it the players or is it the philosophy? And I think it's the philosophy.
It's interesting because a couple of years back with Jacque Vaughn, they had one of the better defenses.
I don't want to make this solely about Cam Thomas, but when Cam Thomas scores over 20 points, the Nets have a 2-8 record. When he scores less than 20 points or 25 points, pardon me, they have a 9-2 record. I don't want to say that's directly pointing at him because I think that's unfair, but
he hinders their offense.
I don't want to say he hinders because their offense is very.
It's not good.
It's not good, but at the same
their offense
time,
is better than their defense, which is shocking.
Yeah,
I mean, they're 24th ranked defense, though.
Yeah,
the offense is what, 17th?
That's what it was, 17th.
This is hoop. This
offense is actually 13th.
Really?
24th defensive rating, 13th offense.
But I feel like when it comes to that, the Nets don't win as is. So I'd be interested to see what their record is with Mikal scoring over 20 points.
I can look it up.
It might be a little bit better,
It
but
wasn't good last year. It was like a 500.
They were on Sharp's been a nice piece for them.
Another
He's been a really
thing,
good backup pick.
another thing that I do want to say is I don't have a problem with this because you traded Harden, you traded Kyrie, you traded KD. What were we to expect to happen from the Brooklyn Nets? Were you still supposed to win?
12-6. When Mikal scores over 20 points, 12-6.
These are their 4 most played lineups. Their first most played lineup is Dinwiddie, Mikal, Cam Johnson, Finney-Smith, and Claxton. It's plus 3.3 difference, so they're a positive team. Their second most played lineup is Dinwiddie, Cam Thomas, Mikal, Cam Johnson, and Claxton. It's minus 16.7. So this lineup is worse with Cam Thomas, and with Finney-Smith is much better. Their third best lineup is with Dinwiddie, Mikal, Cam Johnson, Finney-Smith, and Day'Ron Sharpe plus 44. Their fourth best lineup is with Ben Simmons, Dinwiddie, Cam Thomas, Mikal, and Finney-Smith. So going small at a plus 26. I actually do think that Ben Simmons getting hurt was
it definitely
really bad for them because he was the playmaker. I mean, Dinwiddie's assists are very fake.
Okay, so Cam Thomas, when he's on the court, their offensive rating, 25 games, 113.93. When he's off, it shoots up to 119.91. Defensive rating, when he's on the court, they're 123.17.
Yuck.
When he's off, they're 114.18. So they're quite literally a positive team when he's not on the court. Not a good look, but I do agree with the fact that he doesn't have a defined role, so it's hard as a rookie. But I remember watching Paul George's podcast, and he was talking about how Danny Granger used to tell him the way for a young player, and Kawhi told DeJounte Murray this, the way for a young player to get on the court consistently is to play defense, just show an effort, be dive on the ball for loose balls, be engaged, talk. So like if you can do that, a coach is gonna see, okay, he's giving me effort, keep him on the court, and then you start showing him the extra shit, start showing him the toolbox, what you got in the bag. So I think to go on the quote was very. I'm in the middle. I think he could have worded it differently. I think that was a little crazy.
What would you have liked him to say?
Say, just not. I don't have any all-stars.
We have to play better team basketball.
Or maybe we have to be a better unit.
All he said was, "Hey."
He basically said, "My players are not that good. I'm not that good." That's crazy. That's lack of confidence.
That's what he said.
We don't have any all-stars.
You don't have to say.
Mikal Bridges could be an all-star. Not this year. I'm saying he has the talent to be an all-star.
I just feel like there's certain ways to go about it. He could have said it differently for sure. You could have kept.
We have to share the ball better.
Putting your confidence
we have to play more like a team.
And how does that resonate in the locker room?
Now they looking at you like, what the fuck you talking to? Yeah. Like, I'm nice. Like now they going in there like now they looking at him.
Well, maybe that's the problem.
Maybe. Thank you. That agreed.
But I think this a counter.
He's right.
To counteract that point, though.
Oh, come on, Joel. We were about to agree.
I know. I do agree with what you're saying.
Yeah,
but this team is filled with veterans, bro.
Yeah,
I think all of them know what they are, right? I think if anything, this quote can be taken as him just speaking directly to Cam Thomas, because the only player that's trying to play like an all-star is one guy, clearly. So, like, I think
and Dinwiddie too.
Yes, and Dinwiddie. So going into the media and saying this, I just think there's way better ways to say it. I mean, we can share the ball better, play better as a team. I mean, things like that.
They also
I know he was very blunt.
They don't have their 2024 pick or 2025.
No,
they go to Houston.
And so this is a collective group that has to play together every single night, and will continue to grasp that ideal. But that's the challenge for this group.
So you wasn't going to
we don't play team basketball.
He could have just said all that, and that would have been fine.
So him just saying, I'm not a Hall of Fame coach, which he's accepting accountability on his regard.
Where's the confidence?
Saying I'm not a Hall of Fame coach isn't really taking accountability.
It's just telling everybody you're not good.
Yeah,
I'm not
the equivalent for a coach and for these players
Drew,
is, you're
a GM.
Yes.
I'm at the podium.
Yes.
You're at the podium. Yeah, we just lost, right?
Mm-hmm.
My best player went 0 for 11. I go up there and I'm like, listen,
0 for 11.
Yes.
Okay.
I go up there and you're my GM. I go up there and I say, yo, listen, man, I'm not a Hall of Fame coach. My players ain't really all-stars. You're not going to look at me like, what the fuck is he talking about?
It's figure it the fuck out with
if
what
I'm
you
the
got.
GM, I won't say I love it.
It's like,
I don't love it.
You definitely going to have a conversation with me after, like, what was that?
If I'm, let's say a
but
GM.
If you're the GM, you're also self-aware. Yo, my team is mid.
But you don't say that out loud.
You don't.
God, why? Why?
Monty Williams just cried after winning one game.
Monty Williams,
deservedly so.
If he can still prop up his guys,
he's not said one time we ain't shit all year.
He should.
But he hasn't.
We're all saying
Jacque Vaughn has like 12 more wins than them. He hasn't one time. Like Monty hasn't said one time we are garbage this year.
The thing is, there's bad, and then there's what the Pistons are.
And what is he doing? He's like, we're a confident group. We'll get better.
What are you confident about?
Because you got to show face. You got to have respect.
Keep it a stack with me. Keep it a stack.
I'm a different type of human.
Would you rather have your coach sit up at that podium
and lie?
Lie?
100%.
That's what basically
I don't
every media. That's what every coach does. We're giving a stack.
That is what every coach
and
does.
every
lie. Steve Kerr's been lying since October.
We ask these
AJ Brown
coaches
just hyped up Brian Johnson today. I was like, what the fuck are we doing? But that's what they do.
But we ask these coaches and these players to be honest with us.
Just
keep it a stack.
When it comes to your team,
he keeps it a stack for the first time.
When it comes to your team and your players, I want that to be the shit you got to figure out. I want that in house, and you show confidence to the media and outside. And in house is like, yo,
mad at him.
X, Y, and Z's got to improve.
Let it be known they all need.
You know what it is? It's someone like if I need you to keep me in check, I need some accountability, and you tell me, yo, keep it.
I'm not going on the podcast. Be like, Drew, like, come on, what the fuck you doing?
He does tell me to do my job on.
I have a question for Drew. Did you like Sean Payne's comments towards Russell Wilson? And
you got
bringing in season?
But he's a new coach, and Russ is a veteran. This is a bunch of
Vaughn ain't no experience.
No, they're not. He's not. He's not. But the rest of the Nets, they're all relatively young. He's talking about Cam Thomas essentially. You mentioned that. He's talking about Cam Thomas, and that's the fact.
Talking about playing team basketball. You're the coach, bro.
That's true.
You're the one got to figure this shit out.
I mean, you look at that roster. They ain't got no playmaker.
Yeah, I mean, they're in purgatory. You know, I mean, they're just
stuck. They don't have their picks, and they're about to not be good, and they don't want to trade these.
Can I also ask you a question? There is a difference, but is there that much of a difference from what Jacque Vaughn did and then it being reported, hey, they had a closed doors meeting where it got heated. There was some really strong words. Isn't that essentially the same thing?
I feel like they'd be lying when they say shit like that, though.
Like the one that I'm thinking of mostly is the Ime with the Celtics, that they really had to sit down and define roles. And Ime took control of that situation. Is there that strong of a difference from
he didn't go in there and say Tatum ain't that good, Brown ain't that
essentially
good.
He said, hey, JB, you're not the one. You're not the one. Jason Tatum needs to be our one. He needs to be our leader. That's how we can.
Jacque Vaughn just said we don't have a one. We don't have a two. We don't have a three.
He just said we lack talent. That's what
we're just not good.
No, he said we don't have any all-stars. He didn't lie. We don't have all-stars.
I don't believe nobody's here saying he didn't lie.
Okay.
We're just saying there's a way to go about things.
There's just certain things.
Ime was calling out players, but he wasn't calling out. He wasn't calling out their entire game as a whole. Like Jacque Vaughn is essentially saying you guys don't have the talent to be all-stars. Like, we don't have all-stars. Where Ime was from every specific game calling out shit that players didn't do right. That's what he was doing. He wasn't saying, listen, Jaylen Brown, he's not good enough to be that. He can't be that. Like, he can't do it. Or he wasn't calling out Marcus Smart, saying Marcus Smart he's not Tatum. He can't be taking more shots. Like, he didn't say those things. I think Jacque Vaughn was a little too honest. I know I'm not saying he wasn't honest, but I'm saying there's a different way to go about it. And when you're a coach and you're coaching a team like this, you're the one that has to get them bought in together. And the fact that he hasn't is telling on him more so than the players, because I think if Kenny Atkinson had this team will be good. This team, we'd be looking at this team as a real gritty team that wins every other night. Right now, we view them as.
You were a Jacque Vaughn stan a couple seasons ago.
Jacque Vaughn
that was your guy.
Jacque Vaughn this year fell off. He fell off. I don't know what happened offseason. He fell off. He's not the same guy. He's not the same coach.
Talent fell off mightily.
He's not the same coach. Speaking about the Broncos, we're gonna have Zach Segars up here from Let's Talk Broncos.
My guy.
To talk about the Broncos. How you doing, Zach?
I'm great. Thank you all so much for having me, Andrew. Great to see you again, and it's great to meet the rest of y'all.
Yes, sir. What's up, man?
Not much. Just dealing with this fallout.
Can you hear me, Zach?
Yeah, I can hear you all.
All right.
Just in case.
Zach, it's unfortunate time for our Broncos, and I'm glad that you're here. Yeah, I'm glad that you're here. And I know this. I say that because that's how I feel, and I know Zach. He feels optimistic about our future. So that's why I'm interested for this conversation. I was listening to the Let's Talk Broncos podcast, and I believe you had the guest from Ireland, if I'm not mistaken. He's in Minnesota right now.
Yeah.
And you guys were talking about our current quarterback situation, the game versus the Chargers. And I've known that your consistent outlook has always been, hey, you don't need Russell Wilson. He's getting paid too much. So talk to me. What is your feelings on how Jarrett Stidham played versus the Chargers, and with new reports saying that, hey, maybe the Broncos might not move off of Russ? I know that might be your worst nightmare.
It is. You said it's not a great time in Broncos country. This is great, everybody. It's the brightest thing I've looked since before week 1 of the Nathaniel Hackett era. The Russell Wilson trade is an utter disaster. It's going to be one of the worst in NFL history. It's going to be mentioned with the Deshaun Watson trade and the Herschel Walker trade. It's awful. He's not very good anymore. He takes large elements of the offense completely off the play sheet. That's going to happen wherever he goes. And it's hard to win that way unless you have a very, very good run game that can stabilize your offense, keep you on track down to down. You can't pay $56 million for that. Keeping him another season would have guaranteed that moving forward. They wanted to try and change that, which is why they wanted to delay the injury guarantee. I don't blame Russ at all for not wanting to go into a camp battle with absolutely zero protection against getting cut. I think he's making the right move here. He's going to get a good chance to compete on a vet minimum deal, but the Broncos got to do this. I think anything coming out now is just positive spin, make it a little harder to say for Russ's camp to say maybe the cut was for contractual reasons, even though I think it definitely is for contractual reasons. But yeah, I think this is turning out really well for the Broncos. Unless you think Russell Wilson was producing some level of quarterbacking that's going to be very hard to replicate. And personally, I don't think that. I don't think there's much reason to believe the Broncos will take a step back next season.
Who knew that this situation would have brought out the Broncos supporting me? I found myself doing a Madden rebuild the other night. Russell Wilson not on the team, by the way. Jarrett Stidham starting, and I'm riding a Jarrett Stidham training. Can you believe that?
0-17.
Can you believe that Stidham, his EPA per play was 0.14 this Sunday?
I saw.
In 15 games, only 6 times did Russ have an EPA per play that was higher. And Stidham did that without Sutton. Yet there was only 6 games out of 15 that Russ, his EPA was higher than Stidham's versus the Chargers. And this was without Cortland Sutton, their best receiver, without Marvin Mims, who he's a gadget player, but he's their deep threat. 5 years, $242 million versus 2 years, $10 million. You know how I feel about Russell Wilson, Drew. I'm not going to say it too much. All I know is I think that this is good that they're finally moving on from. They were going to move on from him eventually, but I think the fact they're doing it now is better. Why bite the bullet even longer?
Where do you hear this report about them possibly keeping
Zach
Russ?
Stevens. Zach Stevens. Maybe he was just talking about it on his podcast, but at the same time, it's a tough pill to swallow because again, I show love to the guys over there, and they were making some good sense over there on Let's Talk Broncos. They said, "Hey, he played out of 6 out of 10." And I watched the tape back, and I'm being very critical because I'm a supporter of the quarterback that's trying to get us to the playoffs, and that was what Russ was trying to do. He was our quarterback. He's trying to get us to the playoffs. Also, I've been in hell for the last 7 years. We've had some terrible quarterback play since Peyton Manning, and we made an insane trade. I was hoping that Russ could be that guy for us. We gave him a lot of money. We gave him some guarantees. And so I was always going to support him. But the unfortunate truth of the matter is me saying that Russ could have went out there and did exactly what Jarrett Stidham did is not a positive. That's not a good thing to say because when you're getting paid that amount of money, you want him to uplift. You want him to elevate and be significantly better than the guy that's getting, what did you say, 5 years, 24?
2 years, 10 mil.
To hear that, it's pretty disheartening because I'm watching and I'm being critical. I said, hey, you better go out there, Stidham, and you better play the best game I've ever seen. But in reality, that really shouldn't have been the case because Russ, when they played the Chargers, we scored 24 points as opposed to our 16 this week, and that was without Cortland Sutton. So I look at it, and it's a tough pill to swallow, but it's the truth. Russell, at this point in time, he's making an absurd amount of money.
Accountability, man.
You're saying me or you're
Both the Broncos and
I don't feel great about it. I want Russ to be good on the Broncos. I just want a great quarterback to play for the Denver Broncos, especially when Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert are in my division. So it's pretty tough to have to sit with that and understand that. But yeah, I think better days are to come. I hope that I do wish we handled that situation better with Russell Wilson.
No doubt.
It just makes us look like a bad franchise.
So Zach, who do you want at quarterback next year? Because I don't think you could go in there just with Jarrett Stidham. You're probably draft-wise probably in the teens, early teens. So, those top 2 or 3 guys likely won't be there. So are you looking at a day 2 quarterback? You're looking at someone free agency, a trade? What should the quarterback room look like next year?
Yeah, the Broncos have never drafted a top 10 quarterback. And that's where you find franchise quarterbacks. I think it's Joseph Mahoney. It might be Jacob Mahoney. Covers the Broncos. Just put an awesome chart out showing the career starts for quarterback draft picks based on where they're picked. If you're not picked in the top 10, like the dip is drastic and right after the top 10, right where the Broncos have never attempted to draft a quarterback. They added John Elway as a rookie, but technically didn't draft him. Yep. And that turned out pretty well for the Broncos. I think in an ideal world, they would make maybe an aggressive trade up for one of these superstar quarterbacking talents. I think it's time to try and find a franchise quarterback. To Andrew's point, I think it's good they're not falling into the trap of settling for a quarterback that isn't the answer. I don't think missing on the quarterback is that devastating. And you can see that with Lance, Josh Rosen. The problem is when you stagnate with that quarterback miss and you really want to make it happen and it's not there and you burn 4 years of a talented roster on a guy that never had it. That's when it's painful. Like that incredible Bears defense that was wasted on Mitch Trubisky.
Like Zach Wilson.
You got Aaron.
We gave him 2 years.
Yeah,
I thought you were done with Aaron.
No, I'm saying we got Aaron for year 3.
That tweet was nuts.
So we did
tweet
move on from Zach.
Tweet is crazy. Bro is sick of Aaron Rodgers. Hasn't played the game. We played, I guess, 4
No,
snaps.
listen, I'm just sick of Aaron because, bro,
That Kimmel shit.
we haven't won. I mean, he hasn't played all season and he's just always in headlines. I just feel like he's causing unnecessary drama.
That's and he's fixing.
Yeah, he forced Joe Douglas to sign a bunch of bums that are his buddies. Nathaniel Hackett being an OC. If all those things happened, but Aaron played, I'm fine with it. But the fact that he has not played due to injury, I know it's not his fault.
I can't do much.
It's he left us stuck. And I feel like he essentially has the Jets franchise grabbed by the balls.
Undoubtedly.
He does.
And whether we are going to stink with him is really in his hands. And I don't know if I feel that good about that, knowing how the Green Bay tenure ended and the year he left. All of a sudden, the young stud quarterback has them reinvigorated.
So are you ready for the Jets to draft another quarterback?
I don't want one in the first round.
We don't have a second, so day 3.
Cam Ward.
This is the thing about the Broncos and the part that Zach mentioned about stagnating on a quarterback. I think a lot of teams do it. And, hearing a lot of Broncos fans talk about Russell Wilson, you know that they're trying to talk themselves into it. Oh, well, Russ, he doesn't have the most dominant offensive line. Outside of Cortland Sutton, there really isn't much receiver talent. We got to get him even more receivers. Oh, the running game or the play call. And it's like, yes, the situation is not perfect, but that's why you pay a guy like that to be.
And that's why
guess what happens when you pay a guy 56 mil? Guess what? Look at Patrick Mahomes' team right now. Guess what happens? The offensive, you're going to have to pick. Like the Chiefs have wanted to build up the offensive line because of the Tampa Bay Super Bowl. But look at the weapons now. Like you're going, and they have Andy Reid as their play caller. You're going to have to make sacrifices when you have a quarterback making that much money. The calculation is he's so good, it won't matter. Russ isn't near that. Again, we can split hairs on whether Jarrett Stidham or Russell Wilson is better in this offense. I think they're nearly identical. But that speaks volumes. Stidham's making $3 million this year. This is a discounted Russ year. He's making $22 million. Is he 7 times better than Stidham?
No, he might not be 2 times better than Stidham.
The Stidham beat the Bills. The Stidham beat the Browns. The Stidham beat the Chiefs.
the
What are you talking about? Let a game-winning drive.
You
Respect him.
You guys got 5 fucking
You don't need the
turnovers
magic
and
Russ
head.
moments if you're not getting 3-4 3-and-outs a game. If you're able to have a functional 2nd and 3rd down passing game. If you're able to use the middle of the field. If you're able to use the 0 to 19-yard portion of the field. The Broncos are 32nd this year in targeting the middle between the hashes area of the field. They're also 32nd in targeting 0 to 19 yards of the field. That's a huge part of the football field. They have had to cross off their play sheet because of Russell Wilson.
The unfortunate truth of that is that was a concern coming in, is that Russ does not see the middle of the field.
Who could have said it?
Yeah, it's true.
He cooked him.
But also at the same time, our run game is not good. It's really terrible.
Javonte hasn't been.
You need a good run game for him because he's too volatile. You need something to keep your offense on schedule, and that has to be the run game.
I like Jaleel. P. Ryan's been solid.
Jaleel
but really
McLaughlin
Javonte hasn't.
He's good.
But the thing coming into the season was that, hey, we brought in Powers. We brought in McGlinchey. Quinn Miners has been a great run blocker this season too. The ideal was for identity to be this rush offense. Coming in, that was at least the idea. That obviously never came into fruition this season. So on top of it, yes, like you mentioned, Zach, you're spot on. We don't see the middle of the field. I still don't think we have the greatest weapons by any means. We can't run the football on top of it. But again, where I kind of have to put my hands up is, hey, you're getting paid an insane amount of money. You need to go out there and elevate. He hasn't been able to do so. But we can also level at the same time and say, hey, the run game is not good. The weapons are not that good. Sometimes this play calling is not that good. But Russ, yes, I can level. There's moments where I need you to be better than what you've been.
The run game is not as efficient, though, because teams, when they face Russ, don't respect the pass. So they're stacking the box way more. Like Mahomes has the worst weapons group in football, and they still have.
Okay, let's not.
They don't
let's
have
not
stacked
do that.
boxes.
Let's not do that. I just don't want that where we compare Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson. I'm begging.
Is
It's
Russell
not
Wilson a
fair.
Hall of Fame quarterback?
He should be. Yeah.
Their salaries
Didn't you
are.
say last year Mahomes wasn't Hall of Famer yet?
That was also before he was a 2-time MVP and a 2-time
So
Super
we're
Bowl
talking about
MVP.
2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, but I can't
No,
act like
Their
they're Hall of Fame.
salaries
please.
are also similar.
And just not right now, please. Let's not do
Okay.
that. Where Mahomes is just still by far and away the best quarterback.
This
in the
is
league.
the Russ dilemma. It's if I was a GM and you're my play caller, and I tell you, you have to design and build an offense and call plays with this quarterback who, like Zach mentioned, cannot see or throw to the middle field, because some short quarterbacks can throw there. Russ has never done it in his career. It's not just a now thing. So if I tell you as a play caller, this entire part of the field is off limits and you can just design plays to the seams. And I mean, your offense gets limited so much, and that's the problem with Russell Wilson. That's why I think a lot of people have missed the target when it comes to this situation with the Broncos and him. Did the Broncos handle it the best? No. They deserve criticism for how they handled it. Absolutely. They were not in the right. But at the same time, this all stems from them knowing Russ isn't worth what he's getting paid, and them trying to at least find a way to, hey, maybe if you take some money off your deal, we can talk ourselves into keeping you.
This
You
has
can
happened.
go, Zach.
Sorry, but this has happened before. This isn't a new thing. It's actually common. If you have an injury guarantee on your contract, it's incentivizing the team to bench you to protect you from injury. The thing is, most players with that guarantee, because it's pretty rare, are elite players that you don't want to bench. Now, if you're a Jimmy Garoppolo, a Derek Carr, a Russell Wilson, and you're underperforming and you have that guarantee on your contract, then you'll get benched. In past cases, wasn't even a negotiation. The player just got sat down and that was that. And the team was totally within their right to do it, because you can absolutely make a argument on the performance of that player not being good enough. The Broncos, by threatening Russell Wilson, and I think it seems like they definitely didn't come across it right. They were too harsh. They're the only team that gave the player an option in the matter, that gave the player autonomy in the matter. Yes, the threat of benching was still on the table, and it's not pleasant to come to someone with two bad options. I acknowledge that, but he was given options that other players weren't. And as a result of that, he was able to play 7 more weeks. And as a result of that, he's going to have a wider option of teams to choose from this offseason. Because of how this has gone down with the NFLPA, future players are not going to be granted that privilege. And again, this is unfortunately the only remedy to the injury guarantee problem. If a player is underperforming, you either have to bench them, because that's really the only way to protect a football player from injury, or you have to ask them to change that injury guarantee in their contract. Now we know that's an NFLPA problem. I doubt other players are given that option. And I don't know if giving that option is so evil personally.
Zach, let me ask you a question. The win versus the Chiefs. Can you name a bigger win for the Broncos in the last 7 years?
No, but Case Keenum almost had that. I mean, the Broncos have 3 takeaways.
Almost. I agree. We almost beat them a good amount of times. I remember that time where Vaughn Miller goes and he's pursuing Mahomes, and Mahomes throws it left-handed, and I still have nightmares of that play. We were close to winning then. But we actually did it with Russ as our quarterback. Our defense definitely was the primary reason we won that game. Not even a question. But for this report to say it came after that game, when, yeah, you could say it's pathetic. That's just where we're at right now with the Broncos, unfortunately, even though we're most likely going to finish with 9 wins. Well, God willing, depending, the Raiders have our number. But for that to be the case, coming off the biggest win that we've had in 7 years.
Takes a lot to do that. Sean Payton had up some guts.
I think that's the unfortunate reality of having a bye week right after your biggest win in 6-7 years, right? Like, I think if the bye week's after the Packers game, it happens after the Packers game. I think if it's after the Bills game, it happens then. I think if it's after the Jets game, it happens then. And maybe they're even harsher and they just throw his ass down. That's why they negotiated it then. The prior negotiations happened before the season. It typically isn't going to happen during a game week, especially with your starting quarterback. It's odd enough to do it during a bye week, but I think that's why that date was circled. I don't think it was. And again, I get the bad optics of it. That was a great franchise win and all that. I don't know. Russell Wilson's 3-8 in overall this season, outside of that month-long stretch when the Broncos defense had 13 takeaways over 4 games.
It's a movie.
So
it's a movie.
When the defense is averaging 3 takeaways a game, he's undefeated. The problem, NFL teams over the history of the NFL win like 90% of the games. So that's not saying much. When he's not winning the turnover battle ridiculously, he's 3-8. And do I think Jarrett Stidham could go 3-8 with like an even turnover differential? I do.
I wish we had you on the show a month ago, man. I wish we had you on the show when the Broncos were going through this win streak. When I was trying to tell Drew, like, listen, you guys are doing better. You guys are improved. You're a lot better.
Everyone was bought in. Everyone. We had us in the top 10 in our power rankings. The Broncos made all of our top 10s.
Because I remember the 1 week I was going to have you at 10, but I put Houston over you going into that Houston game because I knew I was going to take the Texans.
Let's just say the honest truth. When we were winning football games, it was okay. But of course, what you need to do is win.
Said the whole time
because when you win football games, your vision is now mirrored, or your vision is now blurry.
Yes,
it's clouded. You actually aren't judging Russ like he should be judged, because you're just saying, "Oh, we're winning, so it doesn't matter if he's playing average." Because on that win streak, I think he averaged less than 200 yards per game passing the ball. I mean, he wasn't electric at all by any stretch of by the imagination.
Efficient though, score touchdowns.
I guess he was efficient because he had great field position all the time.
You're cooking.
But listen, I think that's just the truth of the matter. Russ needs a perfect situation to win multiple playoff games and win a Super Bowl. Not even now, but when he was at his best, that was the case. When he won a Super Bowl, it wasn't off the back of him. It was one of the greatest defenses that we've ever seen in NFL history, with one of the best NFL running backs at the time in Marshawn Lynch, with two pretty good wide receivers. When he lost that elite defense, when he lost the running game and it wasn't as consistent, when he wanted more responsibility, when a let Russ cook movement happened, the Seahawks did not win playoff games. So whenever people say, oh, Russ is a Super Bowl champion, he's this, he's that. I mean, he didn't even do more than Joe Flacco on Joe Flacco's Super Bowl run. Like, Russ's Super Bowl run compared to other quarterbacks and what they did is at the bottom of the list in terms of
Russell Wilson is NFL Russell Westbrook. He's NFL Russell Westbrook. He is a really good, I know you guys talk NFL and NBA, so I'll throw this at you guys. Really great talent. Maybe not the guy to be the number one on a championship team. The game kind of moved away from his play style with these two high safeties. In Westbrook's case, that's moving to the 3-point shooting. He had a game predicated on athleticism, and as that athleticism declined, his role declined sharply. And I think he could be good. Like, you put him on the Steelers or the Rams, like a team with a really steady down-to-down rushing attack, and I think he can be like the 15th best quarterback in the league, just like Russell Westbrook can be a good 6th man, but he's not an MVP candidate anymore.
I got two questions for you guys. One is more of a trolling question, just to punch Drew in the gut a little bit more. And then the second one is a real legitimate question.
Fan. Team's terrible.
Who did more for the franchise, Mark Sanchez on the Jets or Russell Wilson for the Broncos?
Sanchez. What are we doing?
Who did more for the franchise, Trent Dilfer for the Ravens or Russell Wilson for the Broncos?
Ray Lewis, Ed Reed.
Who did more for the franchise, Blake Bortles on the Jaguars or Russell Wilson on the Broncos?
I mean, the bar is very, 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 very
insanely low.
How about
Nate
Nate Hackett on the Jaguars or Russell Wilson on the Broncos?
I might take Nate Hackett on the Jaguars.
How about Nathaniel Hackett in New York versus Nathaniel Hackett in Denver?
Well, we got Garrett Wilson, 1,000-yard receiver still.
Yeah, because
he's
one of the best receivers in the game.
What's the real question?
The second one is round table. Russell Wilson, we know, will not be on the Broncos next season.
Mm-hmm.
So round table, give your team for who you think Russell Wilson will join next year.
I think you should go to the Falcons.
Pittsburgh.
Okay, not opposed to that. Mason Rudolph's playing well.
He does feel like a Pittsburgh guy. I feel like Mike Tomlin bringing in a veteran who's won a Super Bowl, who's done it before. I feel like he's more of a Pittsburgh guy. I feel like Atlanta's going to go for like a Justin Fields if they move off him.
Okay. I do think that Justin Fields will become available. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Atlanta makes sense. You have Drake London, you have Kyle Pitts, you have a solid run game, both in Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson. I know Arthur Smith will try his best to cater the offense to two of those guys, but then on top of it, you do have weapons that Russ can throw to. I think that's definitely a solid situation for him.
Yeah, what do you think, I think he is going to go to Atlanta. I think that's just such a perfect fit. I think Arthur Smith keeps trying to rebuild the 1 seed Titans with Ryan Tannehill. And I think old man Russell Wilson is kind of like Tennessee Ryan Tannehill. I think there's some crossover there in their games. And Arthur Smith just seems like he wants to recreate that team. So I think it'll be, it seems like a good fit for everyone if they can rebuild that run game.
The Falcons should be able to run the ball, but this year they have not ran the ball well. Well, we know even with those players that are star-studded on the Falcons, Arthur Smith's going to find a way to cater the offense to like Mac Hollins and Jonnu Smith instead of Drake London and Kyle Pitts. I have a wild card pick. Okay. My wild card pick is the Minnesota Vikings. It's the Vikings because Kirk Cousins, I'm not sure if they're going to pay Kirk on a multi-year long-term deal. Russell Wilson is in a position right now where he has no leverage. He has to take a prove-it deal like Baker Mayfield did with the Bucs. And if the Vikings think that, Russell Wilson can run their offense good off of play action, and he has Jefferson and Addison and Hawkinson, I think he takes a prove-it 1-year deal on a cheap deal with the Vikings, and he can go to Minnesota. And I think Kevin O'Connell.
I think he would put up, if he started the full year, he put up 4,000 passing yards. Kevin O'Connell with those weapons in the dome.
Jetta's bread and butter, Hawkinson bread and butter.
Well, I think Kevin O'Connell is smart and won't go after Russ, but that's my wild card pick. I think
Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota. I don't think they'd go after Russ.
No, Minnesota should just pay Kirk.
Yeah, pay
Cousins.
Yeah, they
money.
should pay Kirk, but I think that's a wild card pick for me. The Minnesota Vikings. I think it is.
What do you got, Roof?
I said Pittsburgh.
Oh, my bad.
So him and George Pickens.
Hey, George Pickens been tweaking.
He has the
Over
most
1,000
random
yards,
1,000
1,100
yards
yards.
season ever.
Mason Rudolph, he's actually been
he's
good.
been amazing. If we're being
Really
honest.
good.
I don't know if you're
I just-
you're taking at Mason Rudolph or this Russ. You might take Mason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mason's
I
been
don't
up
see
there
him going to
offensively
Atlanta.
since
I really don't. I think Atlanta's going to go for the youthful guy. Like I think they're going to try to pair Fields if he becomes available or somebody in the draft with Pitts, Bijan. They're young guys, Drake London. Maybe the Saints. If they still want to compete and they don't want to go with Derek Carr. I mean,
And he's
Russell-
going to have to be on the roster. Who
Yeah,
knows? I
yeah,
mean, at
it's-
this point, if you're going to eat 80 mil from Russ, you could probably
if-
eat the money from
maybe
Carr.
like the Raiders. I don't. It's really just Pittsburgh, bro. I'll be honest. They're
Imagine he goes to the Raiders.
I
Shoot myself.
don't know. Russ don't got many options, man.
No. Probably quarterback battle.
We want to thank you for being on the
Stringer.
show, Zach, host of Let's
sir.
Talk
Appreciate you,
Broncos.
Zach.
Zach Segars.
Thank you, everybody.
Anything you want to say before you get off the show?
Yeah, check us out. We're going to be doing a full snap by snap breakdown of Jarrett Stidham tomorrow on the channel. And then we have just shows Monday, Wednesday, Friday, talking all sorts of Broncos content. So if you're a fan or just like, I don't know, good football talk, head over there. Let's Talk Broncos on YouTube.
That's great
Yeah.
dedication. 'cause
Zach, last thing I'll say before you go. Be honest. How many bad throws did you see from Jarrett Stidham? I counted at least 4 or 5. At least.
Ooh, I'm glad you're teeing me up on this. A lot. He was bad in terms of accuracy. That's something fair to
Yes.
knock Stidham for. However, if you look at his data from his past starts, he's just as accurate as Russell Wilson. I think it was a little jumpy from his first start. We should see positive regression there.
He hasn't practiced
And the
much.
one
Give him a break.
huge play that we had was all Lil Jordan Humphrey.
That's a good step up in the pocket and a throw too.
Russ could do that. Russ could do that. People saying that Russ couldn't do that was
He
egregious.
would have got sacked there, I think.
He could, but I think it's more showing that Stidham can do what Russ can do.
I just wanted to praise Lil Jordan Humphrey in that play. And for Stidham to get some praise in there, I was just like, come on, let's just be real. Lil Jordan Humphrey made that play happen. But thank you, Zach. I appreciate that honesty because he really was not good. He was not.
So would you say he was not good, Zach, or he was average?
I'd say he was about what you think Russ is. I think if Andrew would say
That's
Russ isn't
unnecessary.
good, I'd say
That's
Jarrett Stidham
unnecessary,
isn't
Zach.
good.
Oh,
Come
man.
on, Zach.
All right, Zach.
That's a-
Thank you for being on.
Thank you,
Thank
Zach.
you all for having me. Appreciate it. Hope to
You
see you
good,
soon.
King.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That was funny.
I was hoping he would just say average, though.
Jared Stidham. Man.
I'm not sure if the audience was able to hear the crackling sound.
I hope not.
I don't know if
See
it's
him
just in
comments.
it's just in our headphones. Did you see it in the
I
comments?
didn't see it in the
Yeah,
comments.
I didn't see anybody talk about it either. But yeah, there was a crackling sound in our headphones. If you guys don't know, while I was away in Arizona, it rained very, very much in New Jersey, and it flooded, and the studio got flooded, and some of the wires were on the ground when that happened. So some of the wires now we know have to probably be replaced because of that flood. But people in the comments right here, TW said, "Nah, I don't hear nothing." So I think that's a great thing that nobody heard it. Damian Delgado goes, "Your house is being broken into in the middle of explosive diarrhea. How many wipes are you taking before getting up to fight for your house?"
A good question.
I'm trying my hardest. 2 wipes.
Yeah.
I'm getting up and I'm squaring up.
I was real quick. 1, 2, 3 max.
Very quick 1, 2, possibly a third.
Like if they're banging on my bathroom door and they're just like, "Yo, get up now," then I'm just like, "Fuck, bro. I might have to go no wipes and square up." Maybe use that to my advantage. Have
Okay.
a dirty ass ass.
Yeah.
Fucking just get out of here.
Maybe you do
Don't
2
say
wipes
that.
and the third wipe is just a shit and you go out there and just
Yeah, just throw it at him.
Yeah.
I like that.
I feel like the best schematic plan would be to go just without wiping. I feel like that
I'm not gonna
probably
be uncomfortable.
That would
shit in
probably-
your ass,
I
just-
probably would, but that would
Someone's
deter
robbing you.
the robber a little bit, like, oh my
He
god,
a freak. Like he's about to
for
show
sure.
some shit to me.
this
You're not
guy is so
wiping it.
crazy. He didn't even think about wiping. He
So
just
you
came
just-
out
you just-
instantly.
you
He
get
just
the man
repainted
out.
that toilet, and he's fucking out here fucking me up.
I would.
You just getting out with beef out, just running over there.
Oh, beef
Beef
out?
out.
Nah, probably
Dang.
not.
Pick
Nah,
up
nah.
your pants.
No, I'm picking my
If you can
pants.
pick up your pants, you can wipe once.
Now you have to do at least once.
That's what I'm saying. If you could
Just
pick up your
once.
pants, you because if they
You got
just
diarrhea.
go out there just because wait, but what type of shit? If it's explosive diarrhea, I know we're naked. I
Yeah,
know you're on the
low-key,
toilet.
you're
I know
on
on the
your
toilet
butt ass naked.
Yeah, like you're on the
fucking-
toilet.
one
You
of
might
those
got
you're praying to God,
like,
like,
you're sitting there like holding on,
Yeah.
like it's one of those. So I know you're naked. So are you putting the clothes back on? This
No.
question. Naked,
Yeah.
raw.
He's gonna
fight?
have to deal with that.
Yeah, that's a him problem.
You are too.
It is what it is. I'm
I'm-
getting robbed.
Understand?
I gotta lock
got
in.
bigger problems.
Survival of the fittest.
Yo,
Natural
butt
selection
naked.
comes out for real.
That's mad funny.
Good question.
Alex Viveros goes, I'm pro Bears draft Caleb or Drake with the first pick in the 2024 NFL draft.
We got a topic for that. And
Yeah,
couple
we're
more
going to talk
topics.
about that, Alex. So make sure you stay tuned for the show.
Fuck Alex.
Ben Riley. Why fuck Alex? What did he do?
He knows. I'm assuming he knows him.
Nah, I don't.
Oh wow.
I thought it was because he likes Fields.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah,
That's why.
yeah.
Because Rev wants Fields. He's a Fields guy. Ben Riley goes, Jake may not be the best quarterback, but that man gave us a chance. The fact that a used condom would have given him more protection with our O-line is a team failure. Heck, turnstiles make you pay first.
He could have went so many other
Anyway,
ways.
I like that
Who
better.
day?
He's a Bengals fan.
Yeah, I didn't know who was talking about it first,
Yeah,
but he's
first
talking
Jake, I
about
thought he
Jake
meant-
Browning.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I think the good thing about Jake playing well is that the Bengals now know they have a backup quarterback, you know, so next time they come into an NFL season where Joe Burrow is hurt and should sit the first couple of weeks, they shouldn't be afraid to turn to the backup quarterback so he can play.
So you're back in on praising Jake Browning.
I'm not anti Jake Browning. I think Jake Browning's a solid backup quarterback,
Yeah,
but
he is.
that's all he is.
That is
you know?
all he is.
And it's good that some people are noticing that now, because there's some people that even some Bengals fans that were mentioning me and saying, you know, Jake Brown is as good as Joe Burrow. And I said, if you-
Bengals fans?
Yeah.
Are they dumb?
well, it was a Bengal fan, not fans. This is one. And I told him, if you think that, then you're in for a rude awakening, buddy. Like, I don't know what to
Have
tell you.
mercy.
I get so sad thinking about a reality where Joe Burrow is actually healthy, because they'd be such a dangerous team in the AFC, man.
They would be.
They really would.
Them and the Ravens be 1-2.
They really would. And that's why it hurts my heart that he's not healthy. Santos goes, would you rather playoff Seth Curry or playoff Paul George? And we're talking about the bubble
Now that video
in
was hilarious.
2020
I couldn't get myself to listen
in
to
the
it.
first round.
What's that? I'm taking Seth Curry right now over Paul George.
Seth Curry, I mean, he was playing well. Man.
Why does he do that, man?
Does he have
last
any
two
shame, Rev?
game 6 and game 7,
Yeah,
he
no
didn't play
shame.
I
well.
was in hell at those times.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The
I saw
stupidity.
David on there.
Yeah, the silliness
Mm.
coming out.
That was the pick a side times where we would just have a random guest every week to spice shit up. Like, yo, just come up here.
You're welcome.
Come up here. Come up here.
Seth
come up
Curry
here.
over Paul George.
How far we've come.
How far?
I had to save you guys. You're welcome.
Seth Curry, one
Safe?
of the better shooters.
Usman
man.
Garuba, buddy. You saved this for sure.
Honestly, you guys should be thanking me. And for the Ben Simmons shit.
Didn't you
You're
say
welcome.
that in front of
No,
no?
that was just us three.
Because I remember you made we were doing the stream with somebody.
No, that's when I was saying that Jaden Ivey can play point guard. That's
No, remember the screen we had and the
And
guy was
Bleacher
giving you
Report?
a bad pick, a bad grade
That
for
was
every
different.
pick.
That was another draft.
That
What
was
draft
the-
was that?
He wasn't. I wouldn't say every pick. He just did not like the Trey Hendricks, the Taylor Hendricks pick. He was like, that was unnecessary.
I remember
He
that's what it was.
violated.
He said that he's like, yeah, I just had to do that just because I need to make it interesting. I was just like,
He's
look
like,
at this.
eh.
Taylor
Nah, that's
Hendricks barely
nuts.
gets any burn this year too.
Who did you draft them to?
to
The
the
I think.
Pacers? Yeah.
The Pacers. Well, Jarris isn't getting any burn.
I know.
either, so he was like,
That was funny.
that was nuts. Steven Deans goes, Broncos fans need an apology letter form from Vance Joseph.
We need to give him an apology because I will happily.
Well, he's saying apology letter from Vance J.
Oh no, he doesn't have anything to apologize to us for. His defense has been awesome.
Yeah. Say that was
We were
3
shitty in the
months ago.
beginning. Then it was amazing. We had one of the best defenses in the league. I'm not mad.
Somebody in the comments just said, yo, they talk about SGA versus Tatum yet? We did very briefly. The title of the episode, the SGA versus Tatum debate.
I'm
Yeah.
dead.
So
They
they-
did.
We're
So
leading
I
that.
was thinking that maybe it would have happened. It didn't happen. So I'm going to change the title after we get off the show.
Well, why didn't you? What do you want us to get really angry at you for saying?
No, I
SGA?
know. I just didn't know it could turn into that. I don't know. There have been shows where sometimes I have a set title, and then after the show, I'm like, well, we didn't have this. So we had something else. So
I
I
think
was
we
like,
all agreed Wednesdays are chill days.
this could have been one of
Yeah,
those
chill-
moments where SGA
chill
versus Tatum was a
podcast.
debate, but it wasn't. So, I'll change the title after. This week in the NFL or NBA, give you guys the options to do
I'm
whatever.
gonna pee.
I do have to pee as well. So can you stay for this? I actually am interested to what you have to say.
I don't have it. That's what I'm gonna pee.
All right, no. Oh, okay, get out of
when
here.
the teacher collects your homework. Like, I got to go real quick.
Do you have something that includes all of us? That's asking us questions.
I do.
Okay, so do I. That's why Riv's a piece of shit right now.
Okay.
I
All
don't.
right,
I have 3 this week in the NFLs. I just did 3 straight this week in the NFLs. Praising 3 different things that I like. Well, not 3, not praising. The first one is not praising. Offensive line were responsible for the highest percentage of their team's allowed pressures via Arjun Menon.
You are a meat muncher.
Offensive lines, you were going to talk about that. Or
No.
Okay.
Just
Number
munch
one,
meat.
Dallas offensive tackle Terrence Steele responsible for 29.9% of the team's pressures. Terrence Steele last season was good.
Just get to it, bro.
This
Stop.
year,
No
he
one.
was-
We all know why
He
you're
hasn't
doing
been
this.
good.
All right,
No, I
who's
think
number
it's,
two?
it's an interesting.
Just who's number two?
Number two is Denver offensive tackle Mike McGlinchey.
Let me make this so abundantly clear to you, Joel. Your franchise will never, ever, and I want you to cover your ears for this, will never, ever, 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 ever equate to what the Denver Broncos are. Ever.
right now. Where are
Ever.
the Broncos?
Ever.
I say the Broncos are probably they might be the only team out of the Jets right now.
We have 3 Super Bowls. We have a Super Bowl in our lifetimes.
Yeah, it's hot. Have you
You
ever
will never reach the heights that Denver has
have
reached.
you ever
you weren't
seen
a
the
fan
Scott
for-
Ferguson on
for
your team?
2016.
You were a
Okay,
fan
I
for
wasn't
one-
alive.
chip.
I wasn't alive.
You were a Colts
I
fan
just
before
was
that.
born. I just was born
He's
when
just
they won
thinking
their
the whole
first chip.
Broncos franchise. He's been a fan of them for 8
For,
years.
no, 8 years. We've
10
been
years.
friends longer than that.
2013,
2012.
When get there?
2012.
Sorry, I was thinking
You
about
have
the chip
one
8 years
I
Super
ago.
was
Bowl.
13 years old when I became a Broncos fan.
Mhm.
Let's put that into perspective. Yeah, I have 1 Super Bowl. It'll be a fucking miracle of God the day you win that championship.
A
Why
miracle,
do you get
yes.
so
for sure.
mad over
Mike
offensive
McGlinchey.
No, no, no,
lineman
no, no.
height
He's so
and
mad
the
at Mike
Why
McGlinchey.
I'm
loud
why
pressure.
I'm fucking angry.
We got the
No. Here's why I'm
He's a
angry.
goat.
Here's why I'm
he's a
angry.
great
Hall of
tackle.
Famer.
Why I'm angry. Legend. The reason why I'm angry is you invite Zach on the show because I know his agendas. I'm not an idiot. I know his
You know,
agenda.
there's nothing wrong having
No.
Broncos.
I
one of
love
the
Zach.
Broncos guys.
I love Zach. I love Zach. I love that
You
he
were on
does
his
a
show.
Broncos show. He's amazing. I know his
Shut up,
agendas.
Broncos.
You brought him up on here because you knew he was about to shit on Russ. Number 2,
Agenda's wrong.
you bring no, not at all. That's
Is
why
that
I'm-
an agenda or is
Can-
just that
how
an
about you let me
objective true
fucking
fact?
finish? No, he's fine. I think everything he said
I
was
also have
accurate
it
and
this
also
week in
came
the
to
NBA.
fruition.
Oh, you
Good for you.
cooked.
And now you're this week in the NFL/NBA. The first thing you mentioned is an offensive line stat that you know the viewers don't give a flying fuck about.
I think they care
All
about Terrence
you
Steele.
care about is being right about Mike McGlinchey, who actually has not been bad. But if you want to say he's bad based off this, okay, because the stats obviously don't look great.
What did I tell you, Drew? He was a bad pass blocker. That's what I told you. I didn't say he was a bad offensive lineman. I told you he was a bad pass blocker.
Barely, though. Barely.
He's allowing the most pressure on his team.
Russ holds on to the ball a ton.
Also, now Russ is getting some blame.
I've given Russ blame, have I not?
Number 3,
Yeah, you're a fucking prick.
Cincinnati offensive tackle Orlando Brown Jr. The Bengals signed him in the
Chiefs knew.
offseason. The Chiefs did know he wasn't that
Their
good.
tackles haven't been much better.
And it really just sucks that, he's not a good tackle. Number 4, Pittsburgh offensive tackle Dan Moore, 27%. Number 5, offensive tackle Blake Freeland, 26%. And number 6, Colton McKivitz on the 49ers, 26%. So the weak link for the Niners,
Just read the next
is their-
one.
their
I don't
offensive
care
line.
about this.
Do we want to have Joel run through
Yeah,
all 3?
please.
Or are we?
There's
I can
Gabby
run-
overlap.
I can run my next one and then y'all can
I have
start.
a guessing one.
Okay, cool.
I also have a
So my other one,
guessing one. Nice.
I
You just finesse one in the bathroom.
No, I actually had it, but I keep always forgetting to ask you guys about it. I've had it for like a week. So
okay, nice. So my next one is that, and this is why I think the Browns offense is sustainable with Joe Flacco. In Joe Flacco's 5 games, he's used play action on a league leading 32.9% of his dropbacks per PFF. He's thrown for 857 yards off play action. No one else in the league has more than 439 yards during that stretch. I think this speaks to what Kevin Stefanski wants to do on offense. He wants to run the ball. He wants to pass out of play actions. And if you are not asking Joe Flacco to do much, then he can have serious success. So I think this is sustainable. And as long as the Browns can play like this, I think the Browns are a very dangerous team in the AFC.
Great this week in the NFL.
I
Thank
do
you.
wonder if because I feel like when Flacco first got here, people probably didn't just believe in it, right?
Agreed.
Just I think defensive coordinators around the league were like, let Joe Flacco beat us. Now that the run game has been as consistent, I wonder in the playoffs if we see more teams say, if you want to run play action, we're not going to bite on it. Let Jerome Ford, let Kareem Hunt average a 3-4 yards carry. We're not going to let Joe Flacco, David Njoku go out for 300 yards against us.
What would you know? We have a super chat here. from Anthony Saldana.
Shout out Anthony.
He goes, Drew, I'm not doing this. I promise you. He goes, Bobby Wagner on the Pro Bowl is a crime. Bro's a cone in coverage. This is purely based off name alone. Is there any one of you guys thinking that got snubbed?
Listen, I
There's
will
a ton.
address. I'll address something. And Joel, I respect you trying to answer this question. We'll answer it for sure. You're hilarious because let me ask you a question. Was our conversation about Bobby Wagner last year or this year?
It was last year.
Okay, and what happened last year?
Truly thought it was the year before.
What happened last year?
He wasn't good.
What did really?
He made an All-Pro, and then the Rams decided to cut
how-
him for $4 million.
How was he not good, but made an All-Pro?
Because players vote on it, and he has a great reputation around the league.
Oh, interesting.
That's why.
Oh, that's really why.
Let me ask you, if he was that elite, do you think the Rams would have cut him for how much? That was, it was like $4 million,
Could have
right?
saved bread, which is
They
they traded
saved-
Jalen Ramsey too. Was
they-
that a good move?
Yes.
Huh?
Did you know who they picked because they got Jalen Ramsey?
What is it? Puka? Was that Puka's pick?
It wasn't Puka. It was Kobe Turner, who's leading the NFL in interior defensive
He's
lineman
been awesome.
sacks.
He's been great.
So it was a win for them trading Jalen
Okay,
Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey also has been one of the most impactful corners in football.
Yeah, but they
this year.
traded Jalen Ramsey. They cut Bobby Wagner. They said, "Get the fuck out of here." They cut him. They didn't trade. Nobody was going to trade nothing for him.
Yeah, he's older.
That's why they
he's
cut
an
him.
old linebacker.
That's why they cut him, though. And now, is it a coincidence that he goes to the Seahawks and they are one of the worst
still a great run
defenses in the
stopper.
NFL?
Oh, it's his fault.
Bro, you know how much an off-ball linebacker can
and what does
change?
Jamal Adams in the
Your
games that
defense?
he's played? Has he been a good coverage
Shit,
player
he
at
might get
all?
cut after the season.
No, I don't think Jamal has been either.
Let's be honest. Is there anything good about the interior of the Seattle
If you're
Seahawks?
an elite inside linebacker, you can change around defense. Look at what Roquan Smith did with the Ravens. And would you agree that if you're an elite player, you make an All-Pro?
Roquan and Bobby Wagner. Roquan, who's in the prime of his career.
But Bobby Wagner just made an All-Pro.
Last year. Yeah, awesome.
So, but last year,
That's what
he was
the
not
argument
close to
was.
Roquan Smith.
But the argument was last year, is he washed? You said he was washed. He
is
was not washed.
He was washed.
Last year, he was an
Because
all-pro. You lost the debate.
all
Take
pros,
that out.
all pros
it.
are for
You lost it.
Fred Warner
You
and
can hold.
Roquan
You can
Smith.
hold on to this.
That's the
You
caliber of player
lost.
they are.
You lost.
Bobby Wagner was not
You
those
lost
guys
the
last
debate.
year.
You too. You were part of it too. You said he was washed. You lost.
I don't really care.
Dehls, do you think that a team moves off from an elite linebacker for $4 million? Like, come on, bro. It was the All-Pro. Shout out to Bobby Wagner, one of the best linebackers to play last 2 years. He has been washed.
Last year he was
He
all-pro.
hasn't.
No, Mahomes made it over him.
I thought you get more than how many quarterbacks you get?
You get 3 each team.
I think we're seeing alternate maybe.
Wait,
Mahomes
what do you mean
was like
3
QB
each team?
one.
3 quarterbacks each
So who in
team.
the AFC made it?
I'm assuming Tua. I'm assuming
my God.
Mahomes and Lamar.
Tua
Facts.
over Josh?
Well, Tua was number one. I remember you.
Yeah,
saying
no-
that a
who-
couple
number
weeks
Is
ago.
it a
two.
voting thing?
Number
It
1
is
was
voting,
Brock
yeah.
Purdy.
I
Number
don't give
2
a
was Tua.
Where do they have the Pro Bowl
I mean,
roster?
yeah, I know.
There was
Bunch of
voting
guys
on
make
it.
it,
There was
yeah.
voting in like
I
almost
think they
every.
they
That's
revealed
what
the
you
rosters.
said.
They revealed the rosters already.
Oh,
They did.
really?
They just,
Yeah.
it just came out.
Okay, the quarterbacks. Well, if you want, we can react to this after
Yeah.
y'all give y'all this week. In the
No, that's
NFL
fine. Go.
review.
Let's do it
All
right
right,
now. We're
so-
talking about it.
2024 Pro Bowl game quarterbacks, NFC, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford. I think they got this 100%
I think
right.
that's valid.
I think they got it 100% right.
Nailed. No hurts.
I think those 3 quarterbacks were better this year.
Matthew Stafford, man, getting his flowers.
He's awesome.
The real always knew.
AFC,
That was what I asked
Tua.
you about Staffy, man. That's all
What?
season. You made a list.
Oh yeah,
He had
nah,
Stafford at
that's
the
an
bottom. I
L.
told you, I was like, yo, man.
Slept.
I be cooking.
Drew, you slept on Stafford in the offseason too.
What are we talking? I slept on the Rams, and then I saw Game 1 and said
You
they're
ain't,
going to
you
the
ain't start
playoffs.
talking about them until
Week
After
one.
week one, it was literally,
You're-
Drew is
till-
really
till
like, it was
week
literally after week
one.
and
Yeah,
then they
week
went
one.
on
It
the
was week
and then they started
one.
losing
Larry's trying
games
to
and you
flip you.
fell off.
That's
You did
not
not mention
true.
it for weeks.
That's not true.
And then they
To
start
be
winning
fair,
again.
Nobody did. Like,
No,
felt
of
their
course.
BS.
But I'm
It's
not
not
over here.
true.
I'm not over here like, yo, Riv, Ramley, let's do
Well,
it.
it's, first off, it's me and Joel.
Okay.
Number 2, I've since week 1 said they're going to make the playoffs. That was my overreaction. Here I am, right? Trying to take that away from me. Have any
No,
respect?
You
and dignity?
got it. That overreaction was facts. You got it.
I know.
100% right.
I'm
the
amazing.
Rams. Yes.
I'm a man.
You
I'm
acting
the
like
man.
you a Rams fan.
I'm not a Rams fan.
Ramley,
That's just a fucking thing that we do with the show.
bro.
Who are the
Right.
AFC
If you're
quarterbacks?
building a
Hot take.
slogan for a
Talk about
team,
this.
you acting like a fan of the team.
Ramley was when we were fucking coming up 2 years ago. We have a pick a side shirt that says Ramley.
I haven't seen you wear it in years,
We won the Super Bowl.
and you haven't
It
worn
was
it
lit.
since.
Yeah, it's too small on me. I'm huge now.
We won the Super
We
Bowl.
won was a little nuts.
Me and the
It was-
Ramley.
It was a little nuts. I was gonna let it slide.
Me and the
I was gonna let it
Ramley.
slide.
We
I
were
said
there.
that when I told about the Chiefs, I said that we won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
the Chiefs? No, I don't. That was my pick, but I'm not going over here. I'm not going to act like I'm a fan of the team.
Listen, I rode with the Rams from week 1 all the way to the fucking bowl game, baby. I'm sure they're okay with me saying we too.
AFC quarterbacks: Tua Tagovailoa,
Go.
Lamar Jackson, and
Go.
Patrick Mahomes.
You
Perfect.
got to get Josh in there.
Josh got to get in there. Man.
Whether it's Mahomes or Tua, one of them got to go.
Mahomes obviously was the worst of the 3, so yeah, I'm with it.
No, yeah, Josh had to be.
Josh.
I-
But he'll
I
be in the
think,
bowl, so it doesn't matter.
If we're going off straight production this year, then it's Lamar, it's Tua, and the third spot's between Mahomes and Allen. I would go with Allen. I think Allen gets that third
I mean,
spot.
if it's over production, I don't think it's on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's over to it too. His terms.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh yeah, he is.
He's
Is.
actually number 1.
I think Mahomes shouldn't have been on a Pro Bowl this year from a sheer production standpoint,
The most unbiased
We
analyst in
got him,
sports.
man.
but he was Pro Bowler. So this year. NFL Pro Bowl games cornerbacks: NFC Deron Bland, Charvarius Ward, Jalen Johnson, Devon Witherspoon.
Jalen fucking. How did
Shout out
Mikey
Jalen
have
Johnson.
Verizon, man?
Deron
He's gonna get his
Bland
bag.
solely made it for the
Yep,
INTs,
6'6". Yep.
and I respect it. I'm happy for him.
What other NFC corners are there that probably could have gotten snubbed?
Stephon Gilmore was probably the best corner on his team.
True.
He's been good this year.
He's been damn good.
Yeah,
Definitely nobody on the Eagles.
definitely not.
Well, what?
Pro Bowler.
Corners.
Corner.
You said Charvarius Ward made it. Deserved. He's been
He's been the best corner in the
yes,
NFC.
He's been awesome.
Did you just try to throw a jab as a Jets fan?
no,
You
I
should
mean
probably chill off.
Sauce Gardner made it, and he clears anybody
You have
in
a
your
Super Bowl
secondary.
ring.
That shit don't matter.
do.
We're talking about corners. Pro
Have you
Bowl
seen a
games.
Super Bowl ring?
Got me there.
Okay.
God.
You should probably get to that part first.
I think they got it right in the NFC. The AFC: Pat Surtain, Sauce Gardner, Jalen Ramsey, and Denzel Ward. I'm sorry, they got it wrong. I know that a lot of these guys are big time names and are stamped, but L'Jarius Sneed should have made the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. I like-
L'Jarius Sneed is one of the best cover corners in football. He shadows and he shuts down elite receivers.
Who should he have made it over?
Jalen Ramsey.
Even though Jalen Ramsey came and when they were healthy,
Didn't he miss like a
one of the best.
He did miss
When
like
Jalen Ramsey came back, they faced a plethora of weak offenses,
including the Chiefs. You're right, though. You're right.
Yeah, he
Nailed.
faced a plethora of weak offenses. Jalen Ramsey's awesome, but
And the Cowboys.
L'Jarius Sneed has been a better corner than Jalen Ramsey this year.
Chiefs and the Cowboys they faced.
Yeah,
For fun.
I mean Chiefs offense. I mean, having
I
Chiefs as
agree.
defenders,
I agree.
And the
I'm
Cowboys
I'm
on a,
glad.
and the Cowboys on the road is a different.
Okay,
offense.
that's what we're gonna
They're-
do. It's
no,
cool.
but L'Jarius Sneed's
You're
been
right.
better.
But the
than
Dolphins on the
Jalen
road.
Ramsey, though.
Ugh, different team.
L'Jarius Sneed has been better than Jalen Ramsey though this year.
I'm not against that, but Jalen's impact has been amazing.
Oh,
I'm fine with it though.
fucking Pro Bowl.
I would even L'Jarius Sneed.
We're
been
having
better.
a conversation about the Pro Bowl though, Riv.
L'Jarius
See, I don't think
Sneed.
it cares about impact.
I don't
I
really.
think
The Pro
that's-
Bowl doesn't move me really one bit.
No,
I'll be
no, it
honest.
doesn't.
Tua got it.
But that we're having conversations of snubs.
I'm saying, but Tua got it.
Ayuk
Impact
missed
doesn't really
it.
matter.
Why
I
is
did
that?
see the receivers. Ayuk missed out.
He would go to your Browns and you'd be
No.
fucking jerking them off
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
some bullshit.
Yeah, I know.
He's
It
better than
was
Easily.
CD, AJ, Mike Evans, and Puka.
AJ?
Well, that's
Oh, yeah.
deserved.
Yeah.
He probably could have only made it over Mike Evans.
Yeah.
But Mike Evans got the production this year and the I've done it for 7 years. Yeah, damn. Ben and Ayuk should have made it, bro.
Hate that for you, brother, man. I do.
I was gonna say Brandon Ayuk, I believe
DJ Moore had a
was
case. Respect him.
Ayuk and Debo were number 2 and 3 in votes.
Mm.
Pretty
So I wonder
interesting.
why they didn't make it.
I don't know either.
So who else? Who else made it?
I know
I don't
for
know
the
what to look
AFC is Keenan Allen, Jamar Chase, Amari Cooper, and Tyreek. I'm fine with that too. Keenan before he got injured was
He's OD,
otherworldly.
yeah.
Jamar Chase was great this season, even without Joe Burrow. Amari Cooper, another year of 1,000 yards, and Tyreek, obviously.
The running backs: Christian McCaffrey, DeAndre Swift, and Kyron Williams.
DeAndre Swift made it.
DeAndre
Yeah.
Swift feels crazy.
That's interesting.
It does feel crazy that he
Yeah,
made it,
so,
bro.
like,
The running
He
backs,
made that shit for
the
real?
running backs for the AFC: James Cook, Derrick Henry, and Raheem Mostert.
Why is
they're-
Derrick Henry on here?
The running back
Derrick
position
Henry
fell
didn't have
off.
a bad
man.
year.
He was. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I would put Brees over him.
No.
Yes.
Brees had like 6 games in a row of yards per carry of under 4
Derrick
yards.
Henry probably had at least 6 games this season under 4 yards. Probably more.
Let's see. You might be right.
I would have had Jameer Gibbs somewhere in that the NFC, I think.
He averaged 4 yards a carry this year.
Game sucks, man.
Dame?
3 for 13, 1 for 5
Again.
against the Pacers. Dog.
I hate him for that.
Did you put a play on him?
Nah, I just
I
have
did.
him in fantasy basketball.
I did.
Oh no, I don't have him in fantasy basketball.
fucking
I
did.
trade him to
It's-
DeMille.
I did hard as shit, and he's selling me.
No
Fucking
way.
bum.
Against the Pacers, that should have been food.
And highly selling me too, but he's selling me so much more.
I'll move on to Mod this week in the NFL. So we have Puka Nacua, 4 catches and 29 yards away from breaking the NFL rookie record. Shout out to Nate Tice, does the Athletic Show. Go check it out. He tweeted out the top 10 receivers, top 10 rookie receivers in terms of yards per route run since 2013. There are 3 names tied with number 10. So I'll give you any of those.
Marvin Mims on here.
Come on, man. What are we doing?
His yards per route run early in the season was ridiculous.
Yards per route run is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
My favorite wide receiver.
Straight
stat.
rookies.
Tyreek Hill. Oh, just rookies. You said.
So
I apologize.
this is rookie season
Whoops,
since 2013. Who has the highest yards per route run?
Jettis.
Justin Jefferson is number 2.
Jamar Chase.
Yes.
Mark Chase is number 4.
I'm gonna go wild card. I'm gonna go Jerry Judy.
Jerry Judy, no.
Okay.
CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb, no.
Was a good one. I'm really trying to get in my rookie bag. You said recent?
Smitty.
Since 2013.
Is Smitty up there?
Let's just go Puka Nacua.
Yes.
Yes,
Because,
of
so we have
course.
2, 3, and 4.
Number 1. You said 2013.
Since 2013.
Odell Beckham Jr.
Odell is
Yes.
number 1.
Yes.
So we got the top
great
4.
job.
Makes sense. Let's go.
Great job.
Good.
Those are probably the 4 easiest ones. There's a couple other guys that are like, okay, a couple guys might be a little surprised.
You said top 10, correct?
DJ Moore.
No.
2013.
Ayuk's rookie year was pretty great. Is it Ayuk?
No,
Mm,
It's not AJ Brown.
no AJ.
no. I'm trying to think of rookies. Are you looking up rookies?
Yeah, just
Yeah,
to
I
see the shot
understand.
history.
I'm trying to stay.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Jalen Waddle.
No to both.
Yeah, Jalen Waddle was very, very check down merchant. He broke the record for reception in the season.
Check down merch doesn't count.
Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Mike Evans number 8.
Great job. Great job.
Honestly, you can do it yourself, bro. You're cooking.
Well, he's looking at names.
Oh.
Got 2, 3, 4, and 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8. Sorry.
I still have to guess the player though.
Tay? You said Taylor?
No Tay.
Tay wasn't that good his rookie season.
Brandon Cooks.
No Brendan Cooks.
You know who I'm gonna go with?
Who?
Hollywood Brown.
No Hollywood.
Since 2013.
To be honest,
That's
this guy has a
what's
list up,
stumping
but it's
me.
like bums in this. Like, yeah, scroll up, bro.
Amari Cooper.
No Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper, he had a drop problem pretty badly.
Tyler Lockett.
No Tyler Lockett.
DK Metcalf?
That was a good
No
one.
DK.
Stephon Diggs.
No Diggs.
No, he wasn't that good early on, I should say.
Oh, they cooked me for that.
No,
They
I know.
called him the star.
Sterling Shepard.
No Shepard.
Oh, fuck.
Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas is tied
Yes,
for 10th.
good
So I'll give you
shit.
that.
So which ones do we have?
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, and 10.
What are the years?
So I was gonna give it away.
Okay, don't do that then.
Juju.
Yes, Juju's number 6.
Nice.
So we're
Hmm.
missing right now. We're missing 5. We're missing 7. We're missing 9.
Did you
Calvin
say
Ridley.
DJ Moore?
No.
No.
I did say DJ Moore.
Crazy name, Robbie Anderson.
No Chosen Anderson.
Crazy name Antonio Callaway.
No Antonio Callaway.
2013.
Jerry Judy. Crazy
No,
name.
You
No
said that
Jerry
already.
Jeudy.
No,
I sure did.
no, I think Joel did. Sorry,
5, 7, 9. So we're missing.
Debo.
that was another check down merchant.
Terry McLaurin.
Yes, Terry's number 9.
Nice.
Okay, we're missing 5 and number 7.
Cooper Cup.
This was same year for these guys. Cooper Cup was tied for 10th.
Okay, make me feel good.
So the same
on.
year as Cooper Cup.
No.
Oh, okay.
You're missing 5 and 7. These guys were same draft class.
We mentioned Justin Jefferson. Michael Pittman.
Is it Christian Watson?
Chase Claypool.
Olave,
Yes.
Garrett
Garrett
Wilson,
No.
Drake London.
Yes. So the
Great.
top 10 is Odell by far, 2.75 yards per route run. Jed is number 2. Puka number 3. Chase 4. Olave 5. Juju 6. Drake London 7. Mike Evans 8. Terry 9. Then tied for 10th was Keenan Allen, who you guys I don't think said.
Mhm.
Cooper Cup and Michael Thomas.
Very nice.
If
Okay.
the NFL was just not, well, the Pro Bowl was just not AFC, NFC, Ayuk should have made it over Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, I think,
You
too.
love to just switch shit up.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't work like that, unfortunately.
I know it sucks, but no, he should have made it over Mike Evans, though. I'll say that.
All right, my this week in the NFL is with Week 18 coming up. There are some NFL coaching jobs that are definitely on the hot seat. So I'm going to go over some head coaches. You let me know if you think that Week 18 will be their last game coaching. First up, the obvious one, New England Patriots, Bill Belichick.
Yes.
I think it will be his last game.
I think so too.
Okay, New York Jets, Robert Saleh.
No, he's back.
No, he's staying.
He's back for one more year, and it's not because the Jets shouldn't move on. It's because Aaron Rodgers is on the Jets, and he won't allow the Jets front office to move on from Robert Saleh. He wants things to stay the same.
Tennessee Titans, Mike Vrabel is a free agent.
Oh, I don't
So
think
Mike
they-
Vrabel can go anywhere.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't think they'd fire him, but if there's an opportunity where he can go to a better team, I think he'd take it.
I think he stays in Tennessee.
I think Vrabel stays as well.
Las Vegas, Antonio Pierce.
He
He
should stay.
stays.
He should stay. He should definitely stay.
Tay just gave
100%.
him the kind of the nod. Who knows if Tay's going to be there next year, but he went up in the presser and said he should be the head coach.
Now, there was a crazy report saying that something crazy can happen in the NFC East in this offseason. So first up, Philadelphia Eagles, Nick
The
Sirianni.
report just came out. He's not losing his job.
Okay. So
It
you're
just came
saying
out
he's
yesterday.
good.
Yeah, he's good.
No, he definitely gets one more year, but if it's another year where the defense falling apart, the offense looks very vanilla, then
Shout out to my brother, man,
questions.
Nick
Could-
Surrey.
Could also be the New York Giants, Brian Dable. Is he going to stick around for next season?
God, if the Giants let Brian Dable go, they screwed up big time.
I think he stays.
He stays.
I'm gonna go no for Sirianni if the Eagles win a playoff game. If they get eliminated in the first playoff game in the wild card, he's gone. For Brian Dable, I think he will stay in New York, but I think there is also a potential for a trade to come up back to the Bills.
Okay. Washington Commanders, Ron Rivera.
Yes,
Go.
he's
He's
gone.
gone.
He should have been fired a month ago, maybe 2.
This will be his last hurrah.
Chicago Bears, Matt Eberflus.
Another report came out. He is going to
He
be
is
the coach.
staying. Yep.
I think that's deserved,
Yeah,
honestly.
the defense has really turned around
And if
second
he's
half.
the coach, that means somebody else.
That I don't know about. Atlanta Falcons, Arthur Smith.
He should
One
be
more
fired.
year. I think he'll stay one more year.
He should be fired.
Crying.
I think he should go as well.
And the last one I'll throw at you just for shits and gigs, Pete Carroll.
He stays.
He stays.
He stays 100%.
Is that a shit and gig moment
That's
or just him owning your team?
He doesn't own us.
He beat you guys in
We have the
he
same
finessed
records
you
as
guys.
them.
I'm talking about last year he beat you guys, home opener, and then finessed you guys.
Oh, he did. Yeah, but the players that he's got, whatever.
Vaughn with the Spoon's pretty dope.
Spoon's
It's
awesome.
amazing.
I would love Spoon.
It's insane. Bobby Wagner made the Pro Bowl, bro.
DJ Moore not making it is nuts.
Well, let's say we're,
Receivers are so stacked.
yeah.
hate to see it, but he's been a dog. this year.
1,308 touchdowns, though.
Career year.
Been a dog, man. Shout out to my brother.
That's your guy for sure.
Over Demario Davis, man. Come on. It's crazy.
No Quincy or CJ's crazy.
That is crazy, bro.
Roquan's valid. Who's the other one?
Roquan was Patrick Queen
Oh.
on AFC. I think he kind of probably
Yeah, I don't know.
shouldn't have got in.
Mike Tomlin, do you think he stays or he's gone?
I think he stays.
I think he stays. He just did some.
I think he stays as well.
All right, I'm glad that
This week in the
you
NBA.
guys are all here. Let's hear
I
it.
mean, TJ Edwards would have been a better pick than Bobby Wagner, bro. I mean, come on.
TJ Edwards has had a really great season.
Yeah, he's not washed. He's actually a good player right now.
Hold that.
Okay.
My goodness. Interesting. Interior defensive lineman to make the Pro Bowl, Javon Hargrave. No Eagle interior defensive lineman here. Hassan Reddick made it though.
Hey,
But
shout Q.
So
I don't see Jalen Carter here.
he's a fucking rookie.
You told me that he'd be just good as Javon Hargrave.
He was pretty good this year.
He can.
And
He
he's
can.
gonna be
For a
better
rookie,
in like
say
a
for
year or
rookie,
two.
He was pretty
Javon
amazing.
Hargrave's better this year though.
Congrats, the 30-year-old is better than the rookie.
Put the crib on it. He's better next year.
Oh, I'd put my life on it. Like,
Respect.
Jalen Carter's like that for sure. Yeah, you didn't cook there, bucko. All right. Most points per game on movement, shooting, off screens, 1 through 10 go.
All right, read it slower, please.
Most points per game on movement, off screens,
Steph
1 through
Curry.
10. Steph Curry is number 2 at 5.5,
Sam Hauser.
73.9%. Sam Hauser is unfortunately not on this
Laurie
list.
Markkinen.
Can
They're
we go in order? God damn.
Oh,
sorry.
says you just rattled off like 19 names
because
in
they
a
was
row.
missing.
Oh,
God, Jesus.
Dude, that felt like a 3D movie.
How'd that
No, my
happen?
charger, I just yanked the cord. It's all right. My computer's
So
dead.
Steph is at 2 with 5.5 makes 73%. God damn. Laurie's at 3.5 makes 50%.
Sorry, I'm cooking for a sec.
I'm gonna go with Buddy Hield.
He is not on this list.
Off screens.
Yes.
That's the big part.
Top 10. He could probably be like top 15. I don't have top 15.
Screens.
Catch and shoot off screens.
Most points per game off
Luke-
on movement, shooting off screens.
Luka Doncic.
He is not up here.
Okay.
Kevin Herter.
He is not up here. This is one up here you're like not gonna get like at
Keegan?
all. Who?
Keegan.
No.
Okay.
Dame.
No. Don't look it up, cheater.
I'm not.
I like that because he cheated with the draft.
No,
just
some of
gonna
the
look
names
at
he
teams.
pulled up, they were.
What are you doing?
I'm looking at just NBA teams
Oh Lord, have mercy.
to look at like the names on the teams and shit. Tyler Hero.
Hallie?
Heroes not a bad one.
wrong. You guys might
Off
not get
screen.
Max-
These fucking suck.
this. Wrong. You guys might not get this at all.
Reeves.
No, fuck.
Clay.
Clay is at 5.5
That
points
was
per game,
easy.
51%.
That was easy. I should have got that one.
Steph and another person who's shooting 21% better.
Damn.
Mikal
The
Bridges.
other guy you won't get. Bridges, no.
Um,
So Clay's at 1. Clay and actually Steph are tied for the most points, and then Laurie's at 3. 4, 5, 6, 7.
Those were
8,
just
9.
such gimmies, man.
Yeah, these aren't gimmies.
Outside
Off
of Clay, really.
screens.
Tough games. I wouldn't have got this shit either.
The thing is, all these players that I'm thinking of are isolation scores.
yeah.
They could still come off screens.
Nah, I know. Like
Trae Young.
No.
that's
There's
yeah.
one you guys are like missing. Bad.
3-point shooter.
No, it's just most. You guys are thinking
Luka?
3 points, but it's just points
James
per
Harden?
game. No,
Luka.
Oh, points per game.
no Luca.
Michael Porter Jr.
Nope.
That was a
That
good
was a
one
good one.
too.
That is a good
Paul
one.
George.
Yes, he's at 4. 2.4 makes
Well done.
55%.
Kawhi.
Kawhi, no.
No.
But now you're cooking. Now think.
All right, James Harden.
No.
I thought you said now
Somebody
you're
said that.
cooking.
Brandon Ingram.
Yo, that's
Nice.
that's number 8. 2 point.
So what do we got
One
so
make.
far?
You got 1. You got tied for 1. Clay, Steph. Then you got Laurie. You got PG. You got Ingram at 8. 57%.
Kevin Durant.
Yes, he's at 5.
All right,
2.3.
Devin Booker.
50%. Devin Booker's not up. here.
Tatum.
No.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking of high point per
Oh,
game
okay,
scores.
yeah, no.
Desmond Bain.
No.
That was not a bad guess at all, Joel.
You're missing 7, 9, and 10.
Okay.
7, 9, and 10.
Desmond Bain was a really good
9
one.
is your guy.
Tim
No.
Hardaway.
Anthony Edwards.
Yes.
Nice.
He is
Okay.
at 2.1. 63%.
Okay.
Shea.
So no.
I
So
didn't
now
think
you're
so.
missing 7 and 10. You're not gonna get 10.
Jamal Murray.
No.
7 and
You're not gonna get 7 either.
Nas Reed.
That is not a bad guess.
Low key,
Nah,
low key,
dude.
that's big crazy. No, but that's you're not 10 is one of your guys.
Are they all starters?
One of my guys.
Yes.
Reeves.
Fuck no.
He's
One
good.
of his good guys. Actual good
On the
players.
Lakers?
One of his actual good players.
Go to hell.
Yeah.
All right.
Zach Levine.
No.
Nah.
The only ones that I could think of, Zion.
Good God.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be him.
And I know. That's why I'm thinking my guys. Did you say Joel Embiid already?
No, it's not him. Don't even think he'd be top 30 on this shit.
Tyrese Maxey.
No, we said that already.
I think you think about one of the worst teams in the NBA.
LaMelo?
No.
That was a good one.
This is crazy. You say this is your guy. Like
I know. I'm
you're
trying to
just
think.
Not
Anthony?
you're not- Yes, he's at 10.
Ah, very nice. Thanks, bro.
77%. 2.1 makes.
He's him.
Wow.
Number 7, you're not getting. You want me to tell you?
No.
Jordan Hawkins.
No.
I'm not crazy. He
Not
has got
crazy,
no
but
burn, though. He's getting
I
no
don't think he'd
burn
be up
anymore.
here.
East or
Okay,
West?
Thank you for
East.
Jordan Poole.
No, I wish. No, his percentage would probably be terrible up here.
that. Porzingis.
No.
He's
I give
usually
you
one setting screens.
East. Damn. Actually, if I give you the
All you have to do is say East top 10. Are the East top 10 right now?
Okay, so East bottom 10.
Donovan.
East bottom 10.
One of the Bogdanovich twins.
Which one though?
Atlanta.
No.
Oh, Detroit.
Wait, how do you spell Atlanta's
It's
first name?
Bogdanovich. It's Bogdan Bogdanovich.
And what's the other one?
It's
Boyan.
Boyan.
BOJ.
Atlanta. You got it.
Okay, Atlanta.
Yeah,
Bogdan.
so
cooked that.
Clay and Steph are tied at 1. 3 is Laurie. 4 is PG. 5 is KD. Oh, you're missing one. You're missing 6. Bottom 5
Bottom 5.
In the
Bottom
East.
5.
in the East. Bottom 5. Wow.
Cade.
Fuck no.
Jacque.
Terry Rozier.
No and no.
Brandon Miller.
No. I wish.
Kobe White.
No.
Mm,
I wish.
Cook.
No.
That was close.
I'll do even better. Bottom 3. You're still not going to get it. Bottom 3. Go ahead. Bottom 3 in the
What are
East.
bottom 3? The
Trey
Pistons,
Washington.
It's-
Charlotte.
yeah.
Washington, Charlotte.
Is it
See,
Kuz?
This who's really a ball knower. Fuck no.
Um.
This who's really a ball knower.
Corey Kispert.
Nice.
cooked
Nice.
you
Nice.
guys.
Nice.
So once again, tied for 1, Clay, Steph, Laurie at 3, PG at 4, KD at 5, Kispert at 6, Bogdan at 7, Brandon Ingram at 8, Anthony Edwards at 9, 10 is Anthony Simon.
Very nice.
Did we all give our this week in the NBA or NFLs?
We did.
Okay. Okay, cool. I have another one that I wanted to get into.
Here we go.
Before I get into that though, L'Jarius Sneed was fucking snubbed for the Pro Bowl. I mean, my goodness. Let me just read off some L'Jarius Sneed numbers. I don't want to get into a debate about who was more deserving or this or that. Let me just read the numbers and you tell me, should he have been in the Pro Bowl? L'Jarius Sneed this season, most coverage snaps without allowing a touchdown this season at 570 coverage snaps. He is number 3 in lowest passer rating allowed at 54.7. This season against top receivers versus DJ Moore, held him at 3 receptions for 41 yards. Versus Justin Jefferson, held him for 3 receptions for 28 yards. Versus Tyreek Hill, 8 receptions for 62 yards. Versus A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown had 1 catch for 8 yards on L'Jarius Sneed. Against Stephon Diggs, 4 receptions, 24 yards. Against Jamar Chase, 3 receptions, 41 yards. Against Devontae Adams, Devontae had the best game against Sneed, 5 receptions for 73 yards and 1 rush for 4 yards. 0 touchdowns and 81 targets against Sneed for all these top-notch wide receivers. DJ, Jettas, Tyreek Hill, A.J. Brown, Stephon, Jamar, Devontae Adams. L'Jarius Sneed has been legitimately a shutdown corner in the NFL this season. I know Sauce and Pat Surtain and Jalen Ramsey and Denzel Ward made it. I'm not saying they are not deserving, but put up their resume this year against L'Jarius Sneed, and maybe only one of theirs resume stacks up. L'Jarius Sneed has been, you can argue, the best shutdown corner in the NFL this season. It's a shame he got snubbed because he deserved to make the Pro Bowl.
Bucks are smoking the Thunder.
You said the Bucks are smoking the Thunder?
Pacers are getting smoked. Pacers are smoking the Bucks, though.
And then my last thing this week in the NFL that I think is pretty important to talk about. Isn't it crazy how the Rams rebuilt their team with 5th round picks and 3rd round picks?
Masterclass.
I mean, this draft, they drafted Puka Nacua in the 5th round. Puka is 3 catches away from breaking the rookie receiving yards record. Right now, Puka is at 1,445 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns, 29 yards shy of the rookie record. They traded Jalen Ramsey for a 3rd rounder in which they drafted Kobe Turner, who has 9 sacks as an interior defensive lineman, which leads all rookies. He's the league leader in sacks amongst rookies, and he's the 3rd most double-teamed interior defensive lineman in the NFL. He's getting doubled more than Aaron Donald. And then they also drafted Byron Young, their off-ball linebacker, in the 3rd round. He has 7 sacks, and he has the 2nd most sacks amongst rookies, tied with Will Anderson. And then last year, they drafted Kyron Williams in the 5th round in 2022, and he's 2nd in the league in rushing right now, 1,444 rushing yards, I believe, 12 touchdowns. Les Snead, Sean McVay, they've done an excellent job scouting, and many times we say that teams don't sign free agents and they don't make splash trades, but the most sustainable way to win in any professional sport that's a team sport is scouting, drafting, and developing well. And the fact that the Rams were able to rebuild their team with late round picks is a huge testament to their scouting department.
It's also crazy how the Rams, well, let me not say just the Rams, but there was conversations about Sean McVay potentially stepping away from the Rams. How different we'd be talking about the Los Angeles Rams
probably.
Without Sean McVay.
Stefanski, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no.
I would say Stefanski, coach of the year, deserve it, but Sean McVay would be number 2.
I'm
Because
fine with that.
coming into the season, I had them in the low 20s in terms of where power rankings. It was like, this defense is not going to be good. The offense has Stafford and Kupp of these guys, but the offensive line's not going to be good enough. The secondary weapons aren't going to be good enough, but the coaching job that it's done on both sides of the ball has been tremendous.
I'm with you.
And they could potentially upset the Lions in the 1st round.
They could.
I agree.
Who knows? I think that's going to be a dogfight, though. I don't know how to feel about that either way. And Kyron, by the way, didn't have 1,444. He had 1,114 rushing yards.
He's still like top 3 or 5.
1,144 rushing yards
And
and 12 touchdowns.
touchdowns.
Like,
And
he's
that's
just
on
one
the
of the
season.
best in the game. I should have peed while you were talking. I have to pee more.
You want to pee right now?
I actually would love that. Find something to talk about.
So what's up? What are you guys watching right now?
Atlanta and OKC. OKC's coming
Okay.
back.
Oh, are they?
They're down 11.
11.
We're just down like 18. I'll be honest. I'm never betting on Dame ever again. I'm sick of this shit.
No.
I think we got some
It's like
super
2 for 8,
chats.
right?
Huh?
Was he 2 for 8?
It's embarrassing, bro.
Damian Delgado goes, would you rather drink a whole bottle of laxative or a whole bag of that spiciest chip that Riv ate?
Oh, Riv, I think you're the only one who could answer this.
I'm gonna take the laxative because
You
I
just
already
gonna
know.
shit your brains
Yeah,
out. For
I
3
already
days?
know what that spicy shit
The
tastes
spicy.
like.
It already did it to you.
Yeah, I'm good off that. And then the whole bag, that was half a chip that did that to me.
Nah, you violated.
You got to take a laxative. The worst that's going to happen with laxative is you're going to shit.
Yeah,
That's it.
That chip
You'll
had me
definitely
fucked
shit.
up for days.
You'll
man.
definitely shit.
You know that shit killed somebody.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
why
yeah.
they started spamming
Honestly,
it.
that came out like a week after you took it.
For real?
Yeah.
You
Because
guys
I
tried to kill me.
remember when we took it, but shortly after when we were in AC for the draft, we wanted Frank to do it because it was his first time in the fantasy league with us. He's like, nah, bro, like someone just died like 2 days ago. I was like, Rip did this shit, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Daniel Guerrero goes, why does Joel think he has the right to take trash or talk trash about the Broncos when his team hasn't won a Super Bowl in 50 plus years? Broncos fans have seen a Lombardi trophy. Oh, Daniel Guerrero. He tweets at me almost all the time whenever I talk about the Broncos and just is just saying I'm being too harsh and all this and all that. I mean, it's deserved this year, man. Come
It
on,
is.
Daniel.
The Broncos, I mean, even from the jump when Sean Payton was making those comments about Nathaniel Hackett, never got good vibes off it, you know?
They hate you when you tell the truth, man. When you tell the truth, they hate you, man.
Sean Payton's going to be under a lot of pressure next year. He's going to have a choice at quarterback, whether to trade for one, sign one, free agency. So it's going to be his guy he has to pick. They gave him a ton of money, traded a first and second round pick for him. He has to go out there and minimum make the playoffs next year.
I agree. I just wonder who it's going to be with. If it's going to be with Jarrett Stidham or is it going to be with a quarterback that's a rookie? I think Stidham is probably going to be the placeholder quarterback next season.
I mean, it's got to be a competition of some kind. It's got to be Stidham and at least one other person.
Stidham
There's
can play,
no way.
man.
There's no way the Broncos go into 2024 with the favorite to win the quarterback job being Jarrett Stidham.
Letting
That'd
it be
insane.
known if Jarrett Stidham comes in and it's a hey, no competition, it's his quarterback job.
Crazy.
I promise you, I'm a free agent.
I think this is possibly the most interesting topic that everybody's talking about regarding the NFL because there's mixed opinions on it. And that's the Bears' decision with Justin Fields, whether they should keep him and running back another year or they should draft Caleb Williams or Drake May with the first overall pick in the draft. Riv, I know you're a Bears fan. You're a Justin Fields fan. You root for them. I know where you're going with this, so you can speak after somebody who I'm not sure what they're going to go with speaks.
Coach was gonna let me go first.
Should the Bears keep Justin Fields, Drew? Should they?
You know what, Riv? I am going to defer to you. You are the Bears guy.
Riv,
And I also wanted to respect you as a
crazy, right?
brother. I wouldn't call it crazy.
A little bit.
I just understand that he knows that where you're going. But
That hasn't ever stopped anybody before.
no, I respect you right now. Let
It
me hear your
has stopped
thoughts.
where
I
people
feel like you took a turn because of but you know what?
That's exactly. You know what, Riv?
Neither here nor there.
I tried to save you. I tried to save you. I tried to
to
keep allegations away from
Yeah,
this.
I understand. I've been looking a little pale lately.
they should keep Justin Fields.
So you know you're getting a little funny over there, but listen, you can go, Drew.
Really?
Yes.
All right. Listen, do I think they should move off Justin Fields? Unfortunately, yes. For the idea that you see the strides that they've made on the defensive side of the ball. I've been talking about it for weeks. They have one of the best rush defenses. You're seeing their pass defense really come into fruition these last few weeks. The addition of Montez Sweat, the way that TJ Edwards has been playing, Jalen Johnson in the secondary. I'm not trying to take a slight at Justin Fields. I'm not at all. I think he's a solid football player. And I think that moving off of him, it's not an indictment on Fields. It's more so making the smart decision for the Chicago Bears' franchise. It extends the amount of time that they have to pay their franchise quarterback. And on top of it, you'll be getting draft compensation for Justin Fields, which from what I'm seeing is around a second and third or potentially 2 second-round picks, which would be fucking awesome. And then you're going to have the number 1 overall pick. You land Caleb Williams. Depending if the Bears shock the world, go Drake May. I think the obvious selection should be Caleb Williams. And then you're probably going to be around that pick 7 to 10, and you can get yourself another wide receiver alongside a DJ Moore to really solidify the weapons that you're going to have Caleb Williams going into that situation with. Or you draft an offensive lineman, which I wouldn't be too opposed of either which way. You see the strides that the defense has made. Finally, that's been the big thing. I know they had that defense a couple of years ago when Khalil Mack was in town, when they had Mitch Trubisky, and they were unfortunately a first-round exit the year they were the number 1 ranked defense. And then they fell off pretty tremendously. But now Matt Eberflus has done a great job of getting back with the addition of Montez Sweat. You're really starting to see the evolution of this defense. It's not me saying Justin Fields is a bad quarterback. It's just making the right business decision and drafting Caleb Williams number 1.
I haven't seen enough growth from Justin Fields to bypass Drake May or Caleb Williams. I think last year was a bit of an easier decision because obviously hindsight, CJ Stroud looks like a no-brainer franchise quarterback. But at the time, there was even conversations who should go number 1, whether it was Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, some outside opinions about Anthony Richardson. I think last year was a lot easier because the quarterbacks weren't as good, and also the package was pretty insane.
Yep.
Getting DJ Moore, who's turned into their wide receiver 1, all of the draft picks they got. But this year, the quarterbacks are so damn good, man. If you put Justin Fields in this draft class, he's at best the third best quarterback. You know, if Justin Fields was here with Caleb and Drake May, he's pretty clearly, to me, the third best quarterback out of all of those guys. And what I've seen this year hasn't been enough for me to number one, the financial implications of you reset the quarterback clock. You now don't have to worry about paying this quarterback for 5+ years. Instead, for Justin Fields, you have to think about paying him, a year or two from now, if he's even worthy of being a franchise quarterback and getting that $100, $200, $300 million contract that we've seen throughout these last couple of years, because the numbers right now for Fields aren't that pretty. I mean, completing 61% of his passes is basically the same thing he was doing last season, averaging about 250 yards per game, 9 interceptions, 10 fumbles, 16 passing touchdowns. What's his rushing touchdowns at? He's at 4 rushing touchdowns. So what's that? 20 total touchdowns. It hasn't been enough growth from Justin Fields for me. You said Daniel Jones? Good Lord. I wouldn't go that far.
He missed hella games. I'm joking.
No, but I haven't seen enough growth from Justin Fields to be able to just bypass his number 1 overall pick, right? I do think there's a world where Chicago could talk themselves into it. I feel like we have been getting more Justin Fields hype these last couple of weeks. Of course, you had the chant after the Atlanta game saying, "We want Fields, we want Fields." But I don't know if I could take that Atlanta game, even though he played amazing, one of the best games of the season from Justin Fields. I can't take that one game and be like, this is enough for me to be able to say Justin Fields is a franchise quarterback. He has too many moments where he's inaccurate, with careless with the ball, holds on to the ball for too long. There's still a lot of problems with his game. That's go back to, his rookie year, even coming out of college, although I was super high on him, hasn't turned into the quarterback that even I was expecting. He has moments where he could look like the most electric quarterback in football, right? You saw a play this past game where he has 2 guys trying to sack him. He's able to break out of it, go and get the first down. You're like, holy shit, how did you do that?
Caleb can't do that, man.
Caleb can undoubtedly do that. Caleb could do that. Drake May isn't as...
Can he do it? I don't know about that. That play's crazy.
No, Caleb can do that.
He can brush off linemen like that?
He can.
2 of them in one play?
He's not
the
as
Falcons,
strong.
Arnold Ebiketie and whoever else. Yeah, Caleb can do that.
He's not as strong as Justin Fields, but
That's what I mean.
He's shifty as hell.
He is.
He's not as strong, but he is shifty as hell. He's able to evade,
for sure.
Evade sacks. But I haven't seen enough from Justin Fields, Rev. I am sorry. I was rooting for him right there every step of the way. And I do think there's a chance, he goes to an Atlanta, a different place where you get an offensive-minded head coach, or maybe you're able to unlock him a bit more. I haven't been the biggest fan of Chicago overall in terms of offense philosophy. I feel like they could be very wishy-washy. Sometimes I feel like they have a great game plan. Sometimes I feel like the offense has no idea what it's doing. It has been better the second half of the season than the first half of the season. But Caleb Williams and Drake May are generational prospects to me. These are going to be 2 guys that I have the utmost confidence that are going to be franchise quarterbacks, almost to the point where I don't really care where the landing spot is. That's going to matter a ton. We saw it with Trevor Lawrence. But these 2 guys are so damn good. And you also have a first-round pick that's not Carolina's. You're going to have another top 10 pick, so you can address either wide receiver 2 or build up the offensive line some more, the defense, where you could fill up some other holes. But right now, these 2 quarterbacks are too good, whichever way you want to go. I'm a Caleb guy, but if you like Drake May more, I'll put my hands up. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's better in the pocket. Both of these guys, to me, are better prospects, and I think with better NFL quarterbacks.
They won't even have an opportunity to take Drake, though, regardless.
They took a number 1.
Nah, they want to take him number 1.
Drake he's a number 1 overall pick prospect.
No, but I think there's been so much Caleb hype. I don't see a world where he doesn't go.
Drake's stock throughout the entirety of this season has just been right there with
I know,
Caleb.
I'm just saying it's been too much hype for
I
Caleb
understand.
not to go 1. Like,
I
I think
agree.
Caleb goes 1 regardless. You don't got to apologize to me, man. I love Justin Fields. I'm sort of stuck in the fandom and reality role here. I love Justin Fields. I think he's going to be great in Chicago. I think he's going to be great if he goes to Atlanta. I think he's definitely had a very peculiar career in terms of, his first year wasn't very good. Last year struggled, but also the front office, the coach didn't put him in a position to really succeed. A little bit of both, him not improving, front office not helping him out. This year, he started off slow, kind of picked it up after the injury. DJ Moore has been great for him for sure. The defense kicked it up, I want to say, after like week 8 or some shit like that.
Mhm.
Shout out to Poles, man. He had a great draft for sure. Dexter, Stevenson, Jaquan Brisker, he picked up, I believe, last year. They've been good. This defense is young. It has no real old players. Even Edmund and TJ Edwards, they're not old. They're about 26, 27 years of age. So this defense is young. It's scrappy. Offensively, they need, I want to say, another receiver that can get him in there. Their running back group is cool, but I think like another receiver, like maybe a Marvin Harrison Jr. would get them definitely to the big picture. But in terms of Caleb or Justin Fields, the financial, restrictions, I understand it. You're basically picking up a generational prospect for 4 years, to a team that's probably a quarterback away and maybe a couple more pieces from being competitive in the NFC. I think this team, if they make another offseason and they bring in Caleb or they have Fields, they're going to be a competitive team next year. They could possibly get 8 wins this Sunday, and I think basically going off what they've had going through this year, 8 wins was crazy at first.
Yeah.
So to possibly get to 8 wins now, I think it's something great to see. I think you have to look at both aspects. You have to look at it from a fan perspective and, of course, from just a football perspective. You have the fans cheering, "We want Fields," the city rallying
awesome.
behind. Yeah, the
That's
city,
a great
like,
moment.
I haven't seen the city rally behind a player since like Derrick Rose for me in my lifetime. So the city rallying behind Fields, it'd be tough, but you got to understand it from the point of Fields has improved, but at the same time, Caleb could probably come in and be better than him. And that's something you possibly can't, you can't miss. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's something you can't miss. If Caleb is generational, if he is what you say he is, if he comes in, he could possibly change the franchise. So it's like, it's a bit of both. My fandom, of course, is going to tell me keep Fields. I want
What
to see
would you do if
Fields.
you were Poles?
If I was Poles,
Say you could get a 2nd or 3rd round pick for Fields, because that's what the report is.
and then it's tough. If I'm Poles, I got to look at the situation like he's too much to pass on. Caleb is amazing. Caleb is a generational prospect. But I have to make sure it's right. I have to have the coach in play to also create that connection, also continue to help him get better. I cannot have another situation where I bring in a talented quarterback that has all the tools and I bring in the wrong coaching staff, or I have the wrong coaching staff and then he flops before my eyes. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I think Caleb is too good to flop. I think in a situation where you possibly could have Caleb and you could have Marvin Harrison Jr. already having DJ Moore in the roster, already having a defense, I don't think it's crazy to trade Justin Fields for a 2nd round pick. But I also don't think it's crazy to keep Justin Fields on the other side, trade the number 1 pick, because that haul you can get back for the number 1 pick. You see what you got for the haul.
Probably more.
Yeah, you'll get more for that. Like, you're looking at
Depending on
teams
where you
like
go.
Commanders or a team like the Patriots. Like,
Because you could go from 1 to 3 if Commanders have 3, probably pick up an extra first still,
get Jonathan
Marvin.
Allen. Like, you can get, there's a lot, but I think I think you're fine both ways. But I think the obvious answer is you pick up Caleb, and you trade Justin Fields to Atlanta or some shit for a second. Whoever's offering you the best deal, which is probably going to be Atlanta. I think Justin Fields would be great in Atlanta. You get that 2nd round pick, but you take Caleb, keep building up this defense, keep bringing in offensive talent. Because even there's receivers in this. Like, I was watching the game on Washington. I saw about 4 receivers that might go in the draft.
Roma Dunze.
Yeah, like, so there's receivers that even if you miss on Marvin's, I think you'll still be okay.
Roma Dunze, solid. Malik Neighbors is really good.
I heard
Brock
Xavier
Bowers.
Worthy is not bad either. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some dudes. So yeah, I think they'll be fine either way. I think Chicago is in the perfect position of I really don't think they could fail either way. It's just which one will lead you more to prolonged success. And I think picking up the rookie for a 3-4 year reset, I think that's the better option.
You can sell me on the idea and the vision that Justin Fields should be the long-term player for the Bears. You can sell me on the vision that Justin Fields should be in the Bears uniform next year. with DJ Moore coming back, they can draft the highly touted and talented receiver, whether it's Marvin Harrison Jr. or Roma Dunzer, Malik Neighbors. I mean, there's a lot in this draft that can help this Bears team, and Cole Kmet is a solid tight end. But is anybody questioning, especially Bears fans? I ask you this question. What if Caleb is better? From all the scenarios that Bears fans are laying out, they are making their case for Justin Fields, and they're only viewing this decision from the perspective that Fields continues to improve and becomes a great quarterback. But what if the opposite is true? What if Caleb is better? What if Drake is better? What if they're legitimate top 10 quarterbacks and you're just stuck with good? This past draft, they traded back from the first pick to go get DJ Moore and extra draft capital. If they were to redo that, do they draft CJ Stroud? I think they probably draft CJ Stroud and they move on from Justin Fields. This decision becomes easier when you look into how the Bears have been winning games since week 11, since Justin Fields has come back from injury. The Bears are 4-2, and people that think quarterback wins is indeed a quarterback stat, they will attribute this stat to why Fields should stay. But since week 11, the Bears defense is first in EPA per play. It has been statistically one of the best defenses in football. They have 18 total turnovers in 6 games. That's 3 turnovers per game. The offense has been 18th in dropback EPA, 29th in dropback success rate. So as a dropback passing offense during this win streak where they've been 4-2, when they've been winning games, they are one of the worst passing offenses still. They're 9th in rush EPA, and they're 18th and they're 19th in rush success rate. Despite them being 4-2 in the last 6 games, this offense has been well below average, and the defense is carrying them to wins. And if you don't want to buy into these team stats, the individual stats don't look much better. Fields, in this 4-2 stretch, is completing 60% of his passes. He has 8 total touchdowns to 5 turnovers and has a passer rating of 80.9. If you are judging this 6-game stretch as the means as to why Justin Fields should remain the quarterback for the Bears long term, 80.9 passer rating is what you're going to buy into. These aren't exceptional stats. Justin Fields has been average. Has he had some games in the mix where he's played awesome? Yes, he played awesome against the Falcons. But for the most part, even when they've been winning, Justin Fields in the offense has been average. I think it's an easy decision. You draft the quarterback at 1, whether it's Caleb or Drake May. I think both are better prospects than keeping Justin Fields. This isn't even just about financials. This is strictly about the potential of what I think either of those two can be versus the potential of what I think Justin Fields can be. I think Justin Fields is good. He's solid, but he's not going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And that's why the Bears should move on.
Have you ever looked at it from the other side, though?
If they're bad?
No, what if Caleb flops?
You have looked at it from the other side.
What if
Yes.
Justin Fields doesn't improve?
Yeah, I think it's no, because I'm mad because he said, like, what if Justin Fields doesn't, like, what if Caleb comes in, he's better? But what if Caleb flops? Like, what if there's a situation where the same problems Caleb has in college translates to the NFL and he doesn't improve that? What if the situation is Caleb isn't this generational talent? If he is, because I don't want to say Trevor Lawrence isn't good, but we thought Trevor Lawrence was a generational prospect. He's still a great quarterback nonetheless, but he hasn't lived up to the same expectations. What if the same thing happens to Caleb and they're in a different situation? Like,
I think you still take the chance.
I think
sure,
the situation is much easier to recover from, and here's why. If you select Drake May or Caleb and they flop, let's say one of them flop. If they flop their first season, the Bears front office will do whatever they can to get that second season right, which means that you move on from Matt Eberflus, you go get an actually offensive-minded head coach, and then you see what happens from there. If the Bears don't take Caleb or Drake May and they stick with Justin Fields next year, and Fields doesn't make drastic improvements, and Eberflus doesn't lead the Bears to the playoffs, not only does Justin Fields become a question mark of where if you want to pay him, but Matt Eberflus now becomes fired. I mean, this is a coach that Bears fans 6 weeks ago thought
One
that
up
should have been
before,
fired.
yeah.
Even
He
when
was
they were
on his
winning
way,
games,
for sure.
Bears fans thought he still should have been fired. So you're talking about keeping an entire regime together that is proven to not even have a playoff game appearance yet, and you're banking on them versus banking on at least the potential. I find it very hard to believe that Caleb Williams will fail given the Bears' current offensive situation and what they can potentially add to the situation as well. I feel sympathy for the Bears in this situation, not only the front office, but the fans, because this is not a situation that happens often. How often is it that a good football team, because the Bears are not a great football team, but the Bears are a good football team. How often does a good football team have the first overall pick?
Yeah, first is strong. Last year we saw with the Lions, similar situation, but it was a top 6 pick as opposed to the number 1 overall pick.
And a quarterback that has shown flashes, but you're still not sure about. I asked this question. If the Dallas Cowboys had the first overall pick, given Dak Prescott's upcoming contract extension, do they draft a quarterback first?
I think so. You're going to be paying Dak
No,
$50 million.
they take Marvin.
They go Marvin.
I think they go Marvin.
I think they would take a quarterback.
I
CD,
think
Marvin,
I
Dak
think the
Prescott.
fact that Marvin's in this
Jeez.
class makes that much easier. for
That's
them
the
to
only
take
reason.
Marvin.
That's the only reason.
If it wasn't a Marvin in this class, it'd be a lot different.
Riv just
But
spoke
because
100%
he's that
facts.
good, just like them, Dallas would be like, "Fuck it, we'll take Marvin."
Even with that, it's a discussion.
For Dallas, you think
See
so?
how
Is
if
fair? Because
if-
Joel just said I'd go Caleb, and we just
I don't
said
think
we'd go
Dallas
Marvin.
ever
I think for
would.
Dallas, I don't
because
think Dallas
that's their
would.
guy.
Yeah.
But like outside looking in, if I'm in that front office, I'm having a discussion about it. You're
And this
saving
is also-
so
I-
much
And
money.
what, and
believe-
what are we assuming? How do they go out in the playoffs?
you don't know.
Because
But
we have to take that into account.
This is what I'm saying. I think the Cowboys would at least have the discussion of maybe taking a quarterback
Excuse me.
first as a successor to Dak. If the Cowboys would have that discussion and they have a quarterback that's about to finish top 3 in MVP voting, why should the Bears, who have a quarterback that is still unproven, have or should think about not taking the
I
quarterback
agree.
first? Even a team like the Miami Dolphins, if they had the first overall pick, would they take Caleb or Drake May?
Definitely be a conversation.
It would be a conversation. I'm not saying they do it, but if they think about
I think
it.
that's unfair to Fields, though. It'd be a conversation for 70 or 80% of the
But
league.
that's the thing. If it's a conversation for quarterbacks that have proven they could play at a Pro Bowl
That's kind of his
and a
point.
great level,
yeah.
then it shouldn't be a conversation for a quarterback that is still unproven.
You got to still remember, though. It's because it's like it's a different thing. I got to pause the game and shit. Got locked in.
Yeah.
It's a different thing. Like Poles is in a tough position. This is probably his toughest position because the Bears fucked up their first couple years with Fields. He fucked up too. I'm not this, but
Listen,
I'm not dismissing that. But they also fucked up building this team. Matt was gonna get fired until they made that Sweat deal, and his defense turned around. Let's not forget that Matt was literally going to get fired. This was gonna be his last year here. This isn't he's been great all year. No, he was gonna get fired. And now you have the whole city of Chicago, which Chicago is a strong, prideful city. And I know this doesn't matter too much to certain people, but Chicago is a prideful city. They care about their fans. They're one of them. They sell out every single year, even if they don't win. If the whole city is rallying around the quarterback, Poles is going to sit there at the top like, what the fuck am I supposed to like? This is still a tough position regardless because the fans create the stadium. The fans create the fan base. That's
I don't
still a
think
tough
anyone's
Bears
position.
are going to
gonna-
go regardless.
I was going to say,
I
I don't
think
think
that
no one's going to
matters.
boycott the Bears if they take Caleb or Drake.
They've already been in so much hell
They have been.
for God knows
When
how
last time they
fucking
cheered for a
long.
quarterback?
Cheered?
Yeah, in the stand like that.
Jay Cutler.
Yeah, it's
That was a
gonna
minute
be
ago.
Jay Cutler is going to have some highs and some
The
lows.
Bears,
Hey, J. Cole is
the
nuts.
Bears have not had a quarterback to cheer for,
They
and
haven't.
Jay
I'll-
Cutler wasn't terrible.
he wasn't terrible.
wasn't great.
No, he actually
He
has
was
some solid
good.
seasons.
It's a moment.
He was better.
We
than Justin
traded
Fields.
him.
Huh?
He was better.
Yeah,
than
yeah, he
Fields.
was.
Year
He
three.
was, but that's not a knock to Fields. It's just
Yeah, but
talking
give
about
brothers
Cutler
some
was.
time. He had Equinox St.
They
Brown
went to the
last
NFC
year.
Championship. which
Yeah, I
is-
remember
They did, and he was horrible.
Oh,
he was just a flamethrower. He was just throwing that bitch up.
This is a tough
I
decision.
mean, I like quarterbacks like that. Just throw that
But
shit
you
out
have to
there.
understand that, and I really hope that the front office does not make the decision off what the fan base wants,
They shouldn't.
because the fans are going to hate it in the moment, but if it turns out, they're going to cheer like they always do.
Caleb, you'll be
If-
good.
They're cheering for Justin Fields now, but let this be next season and Justin Fields goes through a rough game stretch, they'll start booing him. That's how fans are. They'll cheer one day, they'll boo the next day.
We've seen it firsthand, am I right?
We have the front office should not make this decision based on what the fans want. And I will say this: that's easier said than done, because I think the fan base has been very vocal in wanting to keep Justin Fields
as of lately.
And if the Bears win Week 18 versus the Packers, and they haven't won against the Packers in a while, that's going to make the pressure of keeping Fields that much more. Even though he is not the driving force of these wins, because you're a quarterback, you get 80% of the credit.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the front office has to do their due diligence and make the right decision, because with the 49ers, I personally believe that when they drafted Trey Lance, that was a pressure pick. That was a media scrutiny pick. We don't want to get bashed for taking Mac Jones. We're going to take Trey Lance.
You're fine.
Yeah, I mean, they hit a diamond in the rough. They got Brock Purdy in the 7th round.
They're fine now, for sure.
It's very, and it's been odd. Dehls, maybe you've been seeing it, but a lot of bad reports have been starting to come out about Caleb and his attitude, and it's the timing of it all has been funny. Oh, he
said this.
Yeah, he's holds on the ball. He doesn't play well against good. Like the timing of it all. So it's like if Fields does go out there and he does ball out against the Packers, it definitely is going to make polls probably wait till like day of draft to make a decision for sure. Yeah, but I'm fine with either way, because either way, Fields stays or he goes, he's going to be fine.
And honestly, you could see some of that from Chicago Bears. I don't want to say from Justin Fields' camp, but there's going to be more negative reports from Drake or Caleb, from pro Justin Fields people. There's going to be ways to, for back-of-their term, shit on these quarterbacks. Whether you're looking at Caleb Williams, against top 25 teams, or Drake May. I mean, even though there's probably not as many, negatives. Maybe he hasn't played in the big game, right? Hasn't got that statement win. But I think both these quarterbacks, in my opinion, are on a bit of a different tier than what Justin Fields was, even as a prospect. And the fact that, we're in year 3, given the fact that those first 2 years was not put in the best position to succeed. Right now, this is a team that's top 10 in pass block win rate. They're able to run the ball, even though they've had some injuries. Of course, Justin Fields a catalyst there in the run game, and DJ Moore, to Fields' credit, is having a breakout season. So there's pieces there now where you could, I think, fairly judge Justin Fields. And to at least my eyes, he hasn't passed the test to pass on these quarterbacks.
I don't know when's the last time that a consensus first overall pick that we knew was probably or should get drafted first overall was hated on this much and thought by fans as consensus to not be good. I see more people thinking Caleb is going to be bad than I do good.
I know.
And it's going to be hilarious when in a couple years he's actually a great player. People are going to say, "Oh, everybody thought he was going to be great. Oh, it was the first pick. What did you expect?"
I'm happy because I was worried that going into this, that Caleb was going to get all the praise in the world. And when I'm a Caleb fan, it's like, well, of course you're a Caleb fan. He's the best quarterback in the league. But I'm kind of happy he's getting this hate, because now I could be like, well, people were doubting him. I was there the whole time.
Yeah, facts.
We have a super chat from McCall White. I think I speak for most Ravens fans when I say Moran is the pick aside a Ravens fan. He's the only one who had the sense to say Lamar over Hurts. Now it's not a conversation.
Okay.
Is he fucking kidding me right now?
Hey,
I'll tell you what, Joel, that must hurt. But at the same time, it's okay. Hurts is still pretty fucking good.
That's like if they called you the Bengals guy.
Calling you the Ravens fan, I feel like this guy maybe he's been watching for like 2 weeks.
This is
so the respect. Appreciate the super chat.
Chris Bass goes, love you guys in a pod. Also, that rookie route stat proves how good Lendon is. Give him a quarterback.
Streets always knew.
Drake London's a fucking dog.
Give him a quarterback,
Get him
man.
Justin Fields, right?
Hey, I'll go to Atlanta. Yeah.
Get him, Russ. I'll be there.
Daniel Guerrero goes, Joel, you need to stop
Yes.
embarrassing yourself talking trash about the Broncos and Eagles when the Jets haven't won Super Bowl. Oh no, we did indeed see this.
Read this one.
Read it again, though.
No,
Super chat.
because he sent both. He sent 2, bro. He
Just
sent
haven't
2.
won in what?
Yeah.
Keep reading. it.
Haven't won in 50 plus
Was it
years. Broncos
63?
and Eagles fans
69.
have seen a Lombardi trophy.
We have.
This is from Tay Boogie. Insanity is doing the same thing over and expecting different results. At some point, we build around the quarterback instead of chasing generational. We keep him.
I'm going to disagree, but I feel you.
Tay Boogie. Okay. Ravens Super Bowl chances. They're Super Bowl favorites right now. Can anyone stop them?
Yeah. I think the Niners can beat them as long as they don't turn the ball over 5 times. Also, again, we spoke about it when it happened. The Niners, and Brock Purdy, where he had probably his worst game ever. Had a lot of tip passes, definitely some issues also in some decision making. That first interception that Kyle Hamilton jumped. But you look at it across the board, the Niners are still a great team. Do you look at the Ravens right now and think, hey, every great team in the league they've faced and they've won?
Can anyone in the AFC stop them?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I think that's the better question because I do think the Niners are right up there. Really, the only question mark I've had about the Ravens in these last 2 weeks kind of shut me up is just the surrounding pieces around Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
If they go to the Super Bowl, it's probably going to be the worst cast of receivers / tight ends probably since the Panthers when they played the Broncos.
I'm with you.
Zay Flowers as wide receiver 1, even though Mark Andrews, they did say he could come back for a championship run. Maybe he makes an appearance in the AFC Championship game or Super Bowl would obviously be a big help, but the running game, even though Justice Hill looked pretty decent, looked explosive with Gus Edwards and Justice Hill and Zay and Odell. That's the only thing that concerns me is that Lamar Jackson, even though he's done it basically all season long, he will win MVP. It's going to be a lot on his shoulders. He's going to have to play pretty great football because I don't think the weapons around him are going to be able to bail him out, right? You don't have guys that you could throw 50-50 balls, consistently win. Zay Flowers is able to win, man against man coverage, but still a rookie, still a bit undersized. Is he ever going to turn to this top 10 type receiver? Probably not. And Odell could have some great moments, but then there he goes halves, quarters, where he just kind of disappears, gets removed from the game plan. So that's really my only question with the Ravens is offensively, if they have to go toe to toe with the Josh Allen, who's got better weapons there. Miami, they did just destroy, but say Miami with Jalen Waddle, who's going to have better weapons and a better running back with Raheem Mostert and Achane. That's really the only question I have because the offensive line has been solid all season long. Lamar Jackson, MVP quarterback, defense number 1 in the league, probably the best defensive coordinator, if not one, top 3 at absolute worst in McDonald there. So everything else around this team, I feel great about. The only small question mark I have is those weapons, receivers, tight ends, and AFC Championship games and in Super Bowls, they can be able to consistently beat coverage. That's really the only question mark I have because everything else I feel very confident about this Ravens team.
When you're talking about lack of weapons, you're forgetting about the last year Super Bowl winner, the Chiefs.
Like Kelsey.
And then
Kelsey, I think Kelsey and Juju is better than what they got.
Also, it's an underrated part of last year's Chiefs team. Jerick McKinnon and he was work in the pass game.
Yeah.
Yes,
they really just underutilized him severely. Also, maybe he's not as good. He's definitely a year older.
He's on the IR.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's season-ending IR though. It might be.
Nah, it's not. But
you're right. It has been primarily,
yeah.
and a big reason why we've seen Clyde step up the way that he has, or be asked to step up the way that he has. But definitely one of the reasons Jerick McKinnon was huge in the pass game for them. MVS was good last year, or okay last year. He's horrible this year. It's so night and day from last year to this year. So yeah, I definitely can understand you saying last year they were bad, but Jerick McKinnon, he was solid.
He wasn't. They do miss Jerick McKinnon. And it's a big reason why I'm still confident in the Chiefs. I think they get healthy and they get some of their guys that they can rely on a little bit more.
Not giving this up.
It's going to help that team. I'm not. I think the AFC Championship is going to be the Ravens and the Chiefs. They're going to meet in the AFC Championship. I think the Chiefs will still indeed go to the AFC Championship. This is going to be another year where Mahomes goes back. He's going to win 2 playoff games and get there. I just don't see the threat to the Chiefs. And even with the declining offense that we're seeing, it is still a manageable offense. It is not one of the worst in the league like people are painting it out to be. We talked about the Bears last segment and how the Bears are 4-2 in their last 6 games. Offensive yards per game, the Bears are 11th. Oh no, the Bears are 13th. The Chiefs in the last 6 games are 11th on that list. And the Chiefs have still been top 12 in points per game. So this offense, it's not the world beater, but it's still manageable. And I think Mahomes has a different gear he can kick into because he's first in playoff passer rating all time. It's really hard for me to think of any scenario where the Ravens don't win the Super Bowl. In the past, I have not been the most confident in them, but I'm waking up every day and I'm saying, how can it not be their year? That's the question I'm asking myself. How can this year not be the year that they go out and win? I think that there are a lot of things going for them. Lamar Jackson winning MVP and being as exceptional as he's been, fondly in a passing offense that is respectable by NFL standards. The defense is elite. The one weakness is the rush defense. In terms of rush success rate, I think they're 18th or 19th. So that is something that could be exploited, and we saw that in the Rams matchup. But it's hard to see any team in the AFC beating the Ravens. Even with the Chiefs offense matching up against that defense is difficult unless they can really run the ball well in that game. It's going to be hard. It just feels like Lamar Jackson is going to become one of 8 quarterbacks to be a 2-time MVP. He has still not had his playoff moments. He has come up short in the playoffs, and I think a playoff run can cement Lamar Jackson as an all-time great quarterback. Because once he wins a Super Bowl, if he does it and a Super Bowl MVP and he's a 2-time MVP, he's putting himself in some rare company. Every quarterback in the NFL, if we're going by legacy hierarchy, Mahomes is one, and then Lamar jumps everybody to that second spot, even over somebody that I highly respect and who has had the longevity of Matthew Stafford. Lamar Jackson's resume will just be over those guys because of the MVP. I feel like this year's the year. But then you look at a stat that, no MVP has won a Super Bowl outside of Mahomes last year. Mahomes was the first person to do it. So usually winning the MVP is not the end-all, be-all for going on a run. But I think this Ravens team is just so great and so dominant. And the only team that I can see beating them is the 49ers. The 49ers had 3 turnovers from Brock Purdy, and they were still only down by 4 or 5 points. So you can talk yourself into, well, if they don't have those turnovers, the Niners can win that game. The Niners are the only team I can really see beating the Ravens, but I think the Ravens, it feels like this the year for them.
For starters, it's not going to be the Ravens and the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. It's going to be the Ravens and the Bills, if that is possible, for sure.
Oh, no, Browns.
The Browns can beat the Chiefs. I'll be honest, this love.
And the Browns can beat the Ravens.
No.
They've done it before.
They have done it before. That was a little funny game. If you go back and watch the game, hilarious ass game, I'll be honest. You and this love for Mahomes and the Chiefs, I'm glad it's gonna die this year when they don't make it to the AFC Championship game. We're so
back next year.
Yeah, I know, but we're sick
I
of
learned my
hearing that.
lesson, man. I'm not gonna say
dead.
listen. I learned my lesson the hard way.
I'm here.
I still don't think they're contenders.
They're not. And he keeps and I'm gonna ride with Mahomes.
They have an elite defense, bro. They can shut down offenses in the playoffs.
Their rush defense has not been as stellar.
No.
I'm talking about the Chiefs.
Yeah, I know. But Steve Spagnuolo in the playoffs
they
has
can barely
performed
score
miracles.
the ball.
Okay.
They can't score.
Miracles.
They are getting carried by a
Chiefs
kicker.
Versus Bills.
Patrick
They're
Mahomes,
carried by
They're getting carried by a kicker right now.
Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the playoffs in history.
100% last year and the year before. And the year before
Off
that.
passer rating. That's it.
No, off of EPA, every single advanced stat, Mahomes is number 1 across the
What's
board.
gonna stop me from taking Tom Brady over him?
Mahomes has
Nothing.
been better statistically.
Brady's played more games.
Tom Brady's first 3 Super Bowls, the defense won those.
How about the last 4?
He played well. Yeah. But Tom Brady versus when he was in Tampa Bay, when they faced the Packers in the NFC Championship, Tom Brady had 3 interceptions in that game.
In the second half, I'm pretty sure, because the first half they were up 28-7.
But Tom Brady almost sold that game for them in the Super
He
Bowl. The Buccaneers
Really? And they
roster
picked that?
overwhelmed the Chiefs.
He threw for 500 yards in a Super
Yeah,
Bowl
that was
and
nuts.
lost.
No, I know, but I'm saying if you look at Tom Brady's stats statistically in the playoffs,
Talk.
they aren't the greatest. Especially the early years. I mean, post
Tom
Tom
Brady's the
Brady,
GOAT,
like
man.
post
You're right,
2010,
which is why I had
yes.
so much basis behind Peyton Manning versus Brady early on, and then he went
Had another Hall of Fame
second
career,
half
yeah.
of his career.
Just seen Bobo make a
But
turn
even
on
then,
that.
Peyton Manning was not good in the playoffs his early years.
He wasn't.
So, even
Well,
2 of Peyton Manning's Super Bowls were not
it
because
sounds
of him
like
per se.
Peyton
What?
and Tom Brady.
What?
The one versus the Bears, most definitely he was.
That entire run, he threw 3 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. I think it was worse.
And that game versus the Patriots, he was excellent.
It sounds to me like Tom Brady and Peyton weren't good early in the playoffs and got better. And Mahomes was great early, which means at some point he has to have a fall off,
God, I pray.
which is
I
going to be
fucking
this
pray.
year.
3
Unfortunately,
touchdowns,
I hate
7
that for-
interceptions from Payne in the 2006 NFL playoffs.
In the Super Bowl, I believe it was
Westbrook, Broly. Yeah, that was crazy.
Doing a
Who,
show.
who are the Clippers playing?
The Suns. No
Okay.
KD though, unfortunately.
Beal's playing though.
Doesn't matter.
First
Or
time
George
all
has
season he's
17.
playing for 4 straight games. Good for him.
Really? Congrats. To give a little credit to the Ravens, though, one of the best teams in the league. Lamar Jackson proving the doubters wrong. Shout out to him because I know he's going to get that
MVP call.
MVP. Thank you. I don't know why that guy made that super chat. That shit was silly because I called Lamar as the MVP, but dudes be hating for sure.
With Lamar and the Ravens for years.
Yeah, it's Dehls, I get your pain. Zay Flowers, one of the best rookie wide receivers in the league. That defense is great. They seem to just have a next man mentality up. Like every time somebody goes down, somebody seems to be able to fill in. And that defense and that offense doesn't really miss a beat. Is there a team in the AFC that can beat them? I think at this moment you can say no. Coming off of whipping the Niners' ass, coming off of spanking Miami, they pretty much handled every test they had to handle. The only teams that, like Drew has mentioned, that's really beat them has been within their division, except the Bengals. They've lost to the Steelers, they've lost to the Browns. They lost a funny game to the Colts, if I'm not mistaken, early in the year. But for the most part, Baltimore has been dominant, and in the AFC, it's just too many teams with question marks. With Miami, it's their defense. Can it be healthy? With Buffalo, it's a consistent offense, consistent drive-by-drive offense. With the Chiefs, can anybody outside of Kelsey catch a ball or just be good on that end? They do have Mahomes, but you still – and then Cleveland, it's their offense. Can it be consistent or can it come up big in big-time situations? The Jaguars, they're just a mess right now. And am I missing teams? Houston or Colts will probably be too young. You wouldn't take them against Baltimore. So it's just so many question marks. And I think there's a question mark with every team in the AFC, but with the Ravens, you can grab them and you can say there's maybe one question mark. Or you really have to pick your moments right to decide if they have any question marks. So for the Ravens, best team in the AFC comfortably right now. In the NFC, like we mentioned, the only team talent for talent is ironically the team that they whipped on is the Niners. That's the only team. Philly defense not good enough. Dallas offense, we don't, outside of CeeDee Lamb. You stop CeeDee Lamb, I think you stop that offense. So it's really just the Niners. And we've seen the Ravens, their defensive game plan against the Niners was a masterclass. It was like Hawaii 40 balls in the playoffs type of masterclass. And the fact that they did that to the Niners, it creates kind of a scare moment to where they face again, but you trust Shanahan. But in the AFC, I don't think there's nobody right now that can fuck with the Ravens.
Moving on from the Ravens, when Tom Brady was still playing, and even now, the discussion is Bill Belichick and Tom, who had more of an influence on the team. I think it was Tom Brady. I do think it was. But Bill Belichick doesn't get credit in that because the playoff stats with Tom Brady that you mentioned to me, it just made me want to research it. So 2001, when Tom Brady went 3-0, where the Patriots went 3-0 and they won Super Bowl, he threw one touchdown that entire playoff run.
No, you don't have to tell me. I know his first 3 chips, he was not that great.
His third one, he was
the one against the Eagles.
5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Yeah. In 2018, 2 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, and they won a Super Bowl against the Rams. And that was
14-7.
Yeah, that was Super Bowl when the Patriots shut down the Rams. Tom Brady definitely, he's the greatest quarterback ever, and nobody's going to dispute that. But an NFC Championship.
His 2007 run was excellent.
Yeah.
His 2011 run was excellent. The year that they lost to the Super Bowl against the Eagles, he was excellent.
I think he threw like 500.
505.
Yeah,
NFL record.
It says, I'm looking at this right here, and
he also has 22 years or however 24, I don't know, of
been around
game
forever.
logs. So
yeah, Mahomes has played 14 playoff games. He's 11-3.
It's a lot.
His first Super Bowl run, 10 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, 111 passer rating.
he has 2 Super Bowl runs of 10 touchdowns.
This
Brady?
no, not 2,
Mahomes.
but Super Bowl or playoff runs. I think
Last
it's
year
playoff
he
runs.
didn't throw.
Last
10?
year it was 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Apologize. I know that year versus that they
The
lost
Bills,
to the Bucks.
Or no, the Bengals.
No, the year they lost to the Bucks, I'm pretty sure he threw 10.
The year they lost to the Bucks in 2020, it was 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Oh, he was mid.
Yeah, and then 2021 it was 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
2011. Oh,
And
20
when they lost to the
excuse me.
Bengals.
Got it.
So 14 games, 11-3, 67% completion percentage, 4,084 yards, 35 touchdowns, to 7 interceptions, almost 300 yards per game, 291.7, 107.4 passer rating.
Regular season stats in the postseason.
Basically, like an MVP candidate in the playoffs, and that's not what every quarterback can say because quarterbacks go up against elite defenses and their numbers drop off. That's why I can't give up on Mahomes. That's why I'm not, especially seeing how he's playing this year. There's another level to what he can do. I know what I'm seeing right now. He can be better than that. So
I also looked
I'm not done.
at playoff resumes just to torture myself. I look at Peyton Manning's run when we lost to the Saints. This was his year to solidify himself as potentially the greatest ever. He destroyed Baltimore. He goes for 246. We won 20-3. He goes against the Jets. This is when you guys were world-beating defense. 377, 3 touchdowns, 0 INTs. And then fucking Reggie Wayne does not run his route, and he throws a pick 6 to end the Super Bowl. He had over 300 yards, a touchdown, and we lost 31-17.
It's funny that you speak about the Chiefs, Riv, because, I mean, you have to find a way to hate on something, given that the Eagles season has went haywire like it has been.
You're a Jets
And
fan.
what has happened to the Eagles, Riv? I mean, what is happening to them?
You're a Jets fan, bro. You
We're
cannot
doing
use the
episodes without the
Chiefs as a
Jets.
crutch to
10-1
Sorry,
heading
Dehls.
into the
Dehls.
Niners game.
Dehls.
Can we go an episode without
1-5
the Eagles?
record since.
Dehls. Don't take nothing that I'm saying. This has nothing to do with you. I want you to know that from the
No,
bottom
just
of
know
my
I
heart.
said that to him, and he still hopped in the conversation. He has ties, bro. So be ready.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not- I won't with the
I just
Eagles.
want you to know, Dehls, this has
Oh.
nothing to do with you. You stop using the Chiefs as a crutch when you're a Jets fan. You have nothing to say to us.
You was just hating on the Chiefs.
I wasn't hating. I'm speaking really. You just anything. The thing with you Mahomes fans and you Mahomes lovers is when it's a little bit of
Mahomes.
criticism, it's a form of hate.
The Chiefs are not a garbage team, bro.
They're borderline a garbage.
They're not.
offense.
They're not a
No,
garbage
No,
team.
they're not.
I wouldn't call them garbage offense. They're just not a.
They're not what they've been. I
Are
mean,
they
when
good?
they're number one for so long, and then they drop to
When you
number
watch
11.
them, you think they're great.
They're a
You
good
throw up.
offense.
Their
They're a good
offense
offense.
sometimes is hard to watch.
It is right.
Let's get into
Sometimes it is.
semantics.
They're a
I
good
love this.
offense.
They're not great.
They're
not
good.
great.
They're
They're a
not
good
great.
offense.
They're good.
They're a good offense.
When you watch Mahomes, you think you'll throw up sometimes watching an offense, just like try to go up and down the field.
Yes, watching receivers run the wrong routes and the tackles getting beat left and right that forces
It's a
Mahomes to
part of the
step up
game,
in the
man.
pocket
It's a third-
and then scramble and then not rushing the ball. Yes, but I think they'll be fine.
Hey, listen, man, it's a 12-man unit. I watched Lamar and his guys drop some passes. They got 13 wins, 14
actually
wins.
win. I mean, they're one of the lowest. They have one of the
Steelers
lowest.
game.
They have one of the lowest drop
Colts game
percentages in the
too.
NFL this year.
Colts game.
Come
Steelers
on,
game
but
too.
you say when we know.
Those are examples, but in the totality of the season,
Oh, because they won. a lot of games.
the Ravens have one of the lowest drop percentages from their receivers in the NFL.
And Chiefs are number one.
Chiefs are number one.
Okay,
in
sure.
drops.
So, well,
Lamar just puts it there.
And
Perfect.
even in
he
Lamar,
puts it there perfectly.
and
A
even
lot of
Right
sauce
basket.
and dip to that.
even in Lamar
10
Jackson's first MVP campaign in 2019, the Ravens didn't suffer drops. The Ravens had some of the most sure hands. It's really about the receivers getting open, but that year
Well, I was
they're
gonna
one of the
say-
most
which one?
efficient offenses.
2018.
2019 when
I was
Lamar
gonna
won
say,
MVP
I was watching tape back. There was like 4 or 5 drops.
in the playoff game.
Yeah.
The playoff game was bad. It was bad, and that's why Lamar wasn't bad in the playoffs versus the Titans. I think he had total of 500 total yards. So I don't think he was bad in it. But I'm saying that season they didn't suffer from any drops.
But that was
So-
when you were calling him No Arm Lamar.
Oh yeah, I was wrong. There's no doubt. He has an arm, a really strong one. But
That is one thing that brother can throw the
He's
ball
got a, yeah.
far
He's
as
got a
fuck.
rocket as a right arm.
But not Riv. This question's for you because what has happened to the Eagles? I'm kind of curious because I watch these games and I scratch my head and I'm just asking, what does Riv think? Like, I need an Eagles fan perspective of what the Eagles' struggles are. 1-5 record
I-
since the
I
49ers
know he
game.
asked you. I know he asked
10-1.
you. But I'm tired of talking about the Eagles because it's the same thing every time.
It really is.
When we talk about the Eagles, it's the same fucking thing every damn time. We talk about the defense because the defense is fucking
Play calling
terrible.
is also extremely bad.
Absolutely. We also attribute it to that. Jalen Hurts was pretty fucking awesome in this game versus the Cardinals. And Kyler Murray, in terms of EPA, was like, I think it was 0.34 to 0.36 in terms of EPA. Kyler
They
Murray
won-
had the slight
He
edge.
made some crazy plays.
Kyler had his
Straight up
best
crazy
game as a
plays.
passer this season by far.
That touchdown to James Conner was nuts.
But the issue is the defense. So that's why I'm tired of talking about them because it's the same conversation
So why didn't you cut it off at the
every
top of it?
time. Oh, well, let's talk about it now, right? Where it's the same
just say
thing
something
every
about it.
fucking time. This guy just farted. He's
He
sick.
farted. Defense. The
Play
play
calling.
calling really isn't good. I don't think there's much else to say.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the conversation.
Yeah.
I'm
I
tired of
think
it.
the biggest shock to me was how bad their rush defense has been.
Oh, it
Because
fell off. a
To
cliff.
start off the year, like the defense wasn't good. The secondary was terrible. They were letting up a shit ton of passing yards, but the defense, the rush defense, weeks 1 to 10 were 6th in rush success rate. From weeks 11 to 17, they're 25th. Can you
No, what
back?
the
Oh my god!
fuck?
I don't know.
Throwing that right at Rib's
I
face
don't
too.
know.
Was
I
crazy.
don't know what's going. I don't know if that was a this or a this.
No.
that
He
was
was
this.
blowing the
He was
fart
blowing
in
that.
your
But
direction.
his butt is in the back, so like I don't know what was going on.
You're
here.
getting some
confirming.
gooch. You're getting
I'm
some fucking
confirming.
duck butter in there for
Listen,
sure.
I don't know what's going on, but your pants stink right now. It definitely smells nuts down there.
Do you smell it?
No, but I just don't know what's going on.
No, it stinks. I was trying to get you to smell it.
Did you want me to smell your fart?
You're gross.
I just want to see your reaction.
Did Dehls smell it? Is he
I can't
closer
smell
to
it.
me?
I'll be
It's like in this
It's just
vicinity.
a shitty odor in this room right now.
It's in this vicinity right now. That's why I was
You
closest.
didn't make a face. You must sit in that smell for some time. 'cause
He's
you didn't-
liking it.
Yeah, he didn't make
I'll be
a
honest.
face
He's
at all.
enjoying
He's
it.
I
smiling
like
about
smelling
it.
my farts.
Okay.
To get back to the Eagles, though, the rush defense has been really bad. First half of the season, it was really good, but now they've allowed 7 straight games of 100 plus rushing yards. Last week was 220 rushing yards to James Conner, Michael Carter, Kyler Murray, and company. Defensively, in terms of third downs, red zone, 30th ranked defense on third down, 24th on fourth down, 31st in the red zone. The defense sucks, but I don't think it's all been on the defense. I think offensively, there's definitely been some regression. Jalen Hurts turnovers, 14 interceptions and 5 fumbles, 19 giveaways is more than the last 2 seasons. He was really careful with the ball the first 2 years. This season really hasn't been the same case. And also the connection with AJ Brown hasn't been there for like 6 weeks.
No.
We saw that 6-week
both of
stretch
them.
where he goes 125 plus yards, breaks the NFL record for most consecutive games. But these last 8 games, he's had just 1 game over 100 receiving yards, and he scored 1 touchdown the last 2 months. He did have a press conference today because he didn't talk to the media after the game. He did have a press conference today. Basically saying, like, I trust the coaches, I trust Jalen, I trust Brian Johnson, Nick Sirianni, basically standing up for everybody and saying, we as players have to execute better. I like him taking accountability, but I do disagree in some points because I do think the play calling and kind of lack of creation is pretty evident. I couldn't find the most updated numbers because some of the stuff is hidden behind certain paywalls and just stuff that normal people can't get. But through week 13, so still a pretty, well, at least we don't have access to it.
You're not normal. I want you to know.
I appreciate that. Through week 13, the Eagles were dead last in pre-snap motion at 9.6%. The next lowest was Washington at 12.1%. Last season, the Eagles were number 2 in yards per play when using motion, and they basically just stripped it completely out of their offense. I don't know why losing Shane Steichen changed the offense this much. If I'm Brian Johnson, I'm looking at everything Shane Steichen did, copying, pasting it, and basically run the same shit back. Because last year they were one of the best offenses in football. If you look at its totality of stats in terms of yards and points, they're still among the league leaders because they're still able to put up points. But overall, this offense doesn't look nearly as consistent as it did last year. And now you had a defense who last year wasn't as great as the numbers showed, but they were able to sack the quarterback. They were able to force turnovers. They're not doing it this year. So you mix that in with poor defensive play straight up, and then an offense that is still good, but has regressed from last season. This is what you get. A team that's going to be around 11, 12 wins, doesn't feel like it's a Super Bowl year, should probably still win at least a playoff game. You're going to go into Tampa Bay or New Orleans, but it doesn't feel like this is the year that they get a Super Bowl.
And it's not just AJ Brown. Like, get Smitty some looks, man. Like, get just have some creativity. Like, it's straight. I seen this. I was watching the game, and brother did a QB draw on first down.
QB draw on second down.
QB draw on second, and then he did a screen route to Kenneth Gainwell
I know.
on like 3rd and 10.
Was sickening.
And I just watched the shit, and I'm just like,
It's like you don't not give yourself a chance.
yeah, it's like, what the fuck happened? Like, how did you go and tell your quarterback, this is what I want to run because I know it's gonna work? And it's just like, as a quarterback, I wish I was at Hurts on his side. I'd have been like, yo, bro, fuck this play. Run something else, please, for the love of God, bro.
I thought Jalen Hurts had a better EPA than Kyler Murray. So Jalen Hurts outperformed the opposing team.
He played well.
Defense is just
I don't think it was
terrible.
bad.
So I
He's good.
understand Drew's frustration when he says it's the same thing with the Eagles, but I really want to get into the why of it because, for one, I understand Jalen Hurts' turnovers have been up, but this year his turnover-worthy percentage play is at 2.2%. Last year, it was at 1.8%. So
that bad.
he really hasn't. He's been one of the
Slightly.
more safest quarterbacks this year as well. It's just because of the volume, it looks much worse because amongst qualifying quarterbacks with a minimum of 200 dropbacks or less, or 200 dropbacks or more, Jalen Hurts ranks 32nd in turnover-worthy play percentage which is higher than Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, guys who are taking care of the ball this year. And I know you mentioned the motion stat, and this for everybody out there, there's a website called the 33rd Team that it tells you like the personnel that teams are using, and their EPA per rank with no motion is second. So I understand them not using motion as much, but I do agree that they should use motion because they're getting great offensive results still. They're 13th in EPA with motion. They're second with no motion. But I do think that they are uncreative offensively. I don't think that's really been the main issue, though, with the Eagles, or one of the bigger issues, because I think it really has just been the defense. And looking at only this Cardinals game, because I think it perfectly depicts all of their problems. They made Matt Patricia the defensive coordinator after Sean Desai wasn't doing a good job. And Matt Patricia's been way worse. Versus the Cardinals, they're struggling, and they struggled because they're very predictable. They went out there with these 5-man fronts because when the Eagles see that teams offensively have heavier personnel, they line up with 5 down defensive linemen. And because you know that they will always line up that way, it allows the offense to tinker with it, because you can go out there with 13 personnel. So that's 3 tight ends, a wide receiver, and a running back, but you can still spread out the offense. You don't have to go into a formation where everything is closed in together. So what that means is that if you're going into a heavier personnel and you're 13 personnel and you have the field spread out and the Eagles are in a 5 down lineman front, one of those edge players, and in this game it was Hassan Reddick, he has to now guard the slot receiver. So you basically are moving a defensive lineman away from the line of scrimmage, and they have to guard the pass. And that's why the Cardinals were just peppering underneath routes, because it was a mismatch. Hassan Reddick was into coverage, and he couldn't do much. And then against the run, they've been so bad because they were moving those defensive linemen away from their initial position, and they were running gap runs. So they were pulling guards and they were pulling tackles, and they were getting matched up onto the linebackers of the secondary level players. The Eagles right now, their defensive line has regressed from last year, but the biggest problem is their linebackers. Shaq Leonard, not good no more. Nicholas Morrow, their linebackers, they're not good. And with those 5-man defensive lineman fronts, they would play lighter personnel. So they would have 5 defensive backs with 1 linebacker and then 5 down defensive linemen. And when you have those defensive backs out there, when you have 5 of them, it's much easier to run the ball, because now the offensive lineman and the tight ends can handle the defensive lineman, and then you have one of them pull out, and now they're matched up against a safety or a corner. It's just much easier to block them. So that's what Arizona did against the Eagles. Patricia tried to change it up later in the game by having 4 defensive linemen out there instead of 5. And then the Cardinals just ran duo, which is just the offensive lineman double teaming the defensive lineman. And the Eagles have no answers. Like right now, they are broken from a schematic standpoint, and their personnel at the second level is so weak that I am really worried that they're going to be a first-round exit. I think if they face the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers as of late have been running the ball better with Rachaad White, I think the Buccaneers can beat them in that matchup. I know last episode I said it's a 25% chance. I think that's a 50-50 game. The Eagles offense is the only thing keeping this team in games. And like you mentioned, it's very vanilla and it's very bland. So if you get a subpar performance from the offense, that defense will lose you a playoff game. At most, this team wins 1, which is against the Bucks or the Saints, whoever makes it. But they will lose in the second round of the playoffs pretty easily. They cannot match up with the Lions, with the Rams, with the Cowboys, with the Niners. I think the Packers would even beat them.
Can't match up with the Lions.
They can't. I think the Lions would beat them. I think they would.
I think they can match up with the idea they can go tit for tat.
I think the Lions will run all over them, and I think they will control a large majority of the clock.
But the thing is, I think that the Eagles can definitely move the ball on the Lions. That's not a concern.
They can. The offense can, but I think that they will not be able to keep up because their defense is so bad. The Eagles' defense is so bad.
They would get washed by Detroit.
They wouldn't get washed, but I'm comfortable that the Lions would win that game. I don't think they get washed.
Well, that's what you say. Don't match up. I'm just like, hey,
it's a bad matchup for them. I mean, their defense cannot stop anybody.
No one.
And
I asked when we talked about it on Monday, are the Eagles a bottom 3 defense, excuse me.
they are. I mean, since week 13, the 31st in EPA per play, 27th in drop back success rate, 30th in rush success rate.
They're terrible.
So their passing defense and their rush defense has been god awful.
Average. Like they'd probably be fine. Because on the season we're talking about this offense, they're still 6th in EPA overall.
And listen, I respect you
still
breaking
able to
that down.
move the
You
ball.
did an excellent job of breaking it down. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to just turn on the fucking TV and just see James Conner gashing them. Kyler Murray doing whatever the fuck he wants to do with the Michael Carter putting bro to the fucking dirt.
Real ones.
It does not take a rocket scientist to just watch the Eagles play defense and know that they're fucking horrendous.
And they're getting to the second level untouched.
yes.
So they're getting there. James Conner was running through his holes untouched. Mike Carter was one-on-one with the safety untouched, and it made him drop to the floor.
It was crazy.
Like the rush defense is a serious problem. And for all the credit we give Howie Roseman, the criticism on him is that he's ignored the linebacker position. I know he drafted Nakobe Dean, but he's been a huge whiff up to this point. Like Howie Roseman has built up his team with just defensive linemen and drafting skill position players. And a phrase that we often hear is that running backs don't matter and inside linebackers don't matter. But right now, the two best defenses in football are manned by Roquan Smith and Fred Warner. So obviously, if you have one of those guys, your defense will significantly improve. And I just think they've been ignoring that position where Nicholas Morrow, he's not a starter. Like, he was on the practice squad for the Eagles and he's starting for them. Shaq Leonard was basically just given up to by the Eagles. By the Colts. They didn't want him no more. So they're not even having average players at these positions. They're having bottom of the barrel players that wouldn't get roster spots on other teams at the linebacker spot.
It's really hard to critique or say just critique Howie Roseman in general. He's just been so great at building teams and getting us to Super Bowl. I wouldn't put it all on him or say he doesn't know what he's doing for sure.
No, he does know what he's doing.
Yeah,
but he got to draft a linebacker. He got to get a linebacker.
There's also another one that you didn't mention, which understandable. Who he's hurt now, Matt Milano. They were one of the best defenses in football when Matt Milano was 100% healthy. You go look at the Bears a couple of years ago when they had Brandon Marshall, when they had Roquan Smith, who's a constant in this, of course. That was the best unit in football. It's like, it's pretty fucking important to have one of the best defenses that we've ever seen. The Seattle Seahawks. Who was their middle linebacker?
Bobby Wagner.
One of the greatest in the history of the game. Yeah, it fucking matters because that's the captain. That's the leader of the defense.
And those are the ones that you have to be getting into the run fit. So really to boil it down, the Eagles are very predictable. It's not just that their defense is bad and their personnel sucks. It's also that offenses know what they're going to do. Like the offensive coordinator from the Cardinals, I think Drew Peltzer, he's a fine OC. He's not one of the better ones. That's why I say I don't think they match up. Because if Drew Petzing can control this Eagles defense the way he did and manipulate them, well, not even manipulate them, but just really do whatever he wanted on them, what is Ben Johnson going to do? What is Mike McCarthy going to do? What is Kyle Shanahan going to do? Like, in order to win these games, you need the Eagles offense to bail you out. And while they have the talent to do it, we've seen this entire year, or I should say the last 6 weeks, that they don't have the play caller that will call the right plays in given moments to bail you out.
Yeah, and I think that's the main issue. I think the defense was going to be the defense. You saw this even last year. The defense statistically was great, but you knew at moments this defense could get exposed. And I think coming into this year, you obviously expect the defensive line to be elite for sure because all of that talent, and it's fallen off. But you expected at minimum this offense to be one of the most high-powered offenses in the league. And if you have that, you can still match up with these same teams. I don't know if we don't match up because I think Detroit's defense is not as bad as ours, but their defense isn't good either. Tampa Bay, that's a tough one too. But I think, they just got to figure it out, man.
Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, a debate of the century, man.
It's not a debate. I don't know what you're talking about.
It was a debate 1.5 years ago, I think. That we made a would you rather or something like that.
Yeah, I know, and you took Baker.
And imagine Baker eliminating him to playoffs.
Imagine.
You put a friendly bet on this? Because I asked you last episode and you kind of panicked.
I'll put it on it. I'm actually going to pick the Bucks when that playoff matchup happens.
A little friendly 20?
I will pick the Bucks in that matchup. Eagles first round.
I don't want to hear excuses. Oh, he could have did this. He could have did that.
Oh, no excuses.
I just want my bread. I don't want to speak on it no more.
what about me? Do you want to speak on it if I win the bet?
If you won, you pick the standard. If you want me to speak on it, I'll speak on it. You get to pick that if you win. But
Okay.
if I win, I don't want to talk about it. Just want to move on to the next matchup.
We have this last super chat, Daniel Guerrero. I love you guys. I'm a big shit talker. Keep up the good work.
Love you too, bro.
Shout out you,
Bronco
man.
legend.
So Russ guy, man. He loves Russ.
He knows.
Shout out to Zach Segars coming on here speaking the truth,
Shout
man.
out our guy.
Shout out to the guy. I knew what I was in for.
His tweets are very much anti.
I know.
Yeah,
I
I
know.
just honestly started following him a couple weeks ago, and then I was watching, of course, the game. I see him just live tweeting all this shit. I'm like, yeah, he don't fuck with us.
He doesn't. He
I was
doesn't at
having a
all.
full blown conversation with him. We were just talking about the situation, and I was like, I got to bring him on the show.
I know.
We got to bring a pro Russ guy for you now.
No, we don't.
You don't want to bring
Is
a
he
pro
not
Russ
pro
guy?
wrestling now?
They don't exist.
They don't exist no more.
He's the last one alive.
That's going to do it for episode 340 of the Pick a Side podcast. You guys can follow us on TikTok and on Twitter at Pick a Side Podcast and Pick a Side Pod, and on Instagram at Pick a Side Podcast. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.